Good evening, everybody. I'm here with Jason Sniegowski. We're going to go through the Deathwatch Index review. I'm not going to do it page by page, but we did put together a little slideshow. Everybody loves a good PowerPoint to highlight some of the coolest and lamest stuff in the Codex. We do this live so that you guys can engage with us. So please ask your question, throw in your dumb comments, make fun of my beard. Just kidding, you can't. It's perfect. And we'll get right into this and not leave anybody bored. Here's that fancy slideshow. So to start off, just to do a little rehash, I want to talk about our mission tactic. They showed this off with the preview. This mission tactic is wildly strong. I didn't actually believe that until Jason told me. And Jason, do you want to explain why this mission tactic is so good?
This mission tactic has a lot of play to it, especially until we get, we're playing Index Hammer for a while, but until we get clarification for some of the topics that are going on, we're going to have some issues, especially with, say, like the Purgatus tactics. If, for example, you just choose to be in that one, and you allocate your precision hits first, technically by the allocation rules that are in the book, every hit from that point on has to be applied to the same character because the character has taken the wounds. Now, there is some readings on that go both ways, where some people say that that's not the case, but I'm leaning towards rules as written, and as they're written, it does seem to imply that once a wound is allocated to a member of a squad, everybody's wounds from that point on get allocated to that character. So if that plays that way, that one is extremely strong because you basically go, hey, look, I shoot with my bolters. Oh, I rolled a 6. I guess you have to put it on your character. Everything from every other gun in my army now goes on your character.
It'd be a shame if we killed all of your characters in 2 turns.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if they rule that one the way that I think they're going to rule it, that it only applies to precision hits, everything else has to go to the squad, then you're only going to ever be in Furor.
Yes, the furries tactics.
You're going to be playing with furries. The sustained hits one is just too good, and it's army wide, and it's not limited to ranged or melee. It's all weapons.
It's everything. So if you have a Gladiator Reaper firing your, 4,700 shots or whatever, every single time you hit with a 6, you hit another time. It's bonkers. It's really, really good. I didn't think this was very good either, but then again, if you read the 9th edition Deathwatch rules, it was a little hard to wrap your head around it, and then once you did, you realize how strong they could be. So this is basically our specialisms, but they removed them from the kill teams and added it as an army-wide ability. They did change it. I don't remember in the preview that they said, they added the sentence in this. It says each mission tactic can only be selected once per battle. And there are 3 of them. So you can only select, 3. So 3 out of 5 turns. I don't think that was in the preview.
It was not.
But it is there now. This is the actual rule, and that's how it plays. For 1 turn, you can give your whole army sustained hits 1, which is very, very good. And then we'll get into some stuff later about how different characters and stratagems can actually do that for other units as well. So just wanted to put that out there so that we have a little bit of context for the rest of this. Now, getting into the actual index.
Hold on, before we go a little bit further, do you realize that Deathwatch does still get Oath of the Moment? It was right at the top.
Yep, that's right. Yeah.
So they will still get that 1 target a turn, reroll all hits, reroll all wounds, which is...
One, you say?
I was trying not to spoil anything.
But yes, they are still Adeptus Astartes. They still do get the Adeptus Astartes core rule of Oath of Moment. And just to remind everybody of that, in your command phase, you target 1 enemy unit that gets the Oath of Moment token or whatever. and then everything from your army attacking it gets to reroll hits and wounds. It's very, very, very strong. You point at a thing and say, that's going to die this turn, and it probably dies this turn. All right. Now, the next thing in the index was our 3 general stratagems. All of these are very good. The first one is Armor of Contempt. This one is in every Adeptus Astartes index I've seen so far. This is kind of like the new transhuman physiology in a way, where it is a defensive debuff that is used when you are targeted. This just reduces the armor penetration of every attack coming at that unit by 1. So it's kind of like the Armor of Contempt rule from 9th edition. It's pretty solid. Do you have anything to say about this one, Jason? It's good.
It is very good. But this one has the same problem that we're currently seeing with the 10th edition rules, where it doesn't clarify like damage reduction or AP reduction. It just says worsen the AP characteristic by 1. So is that stating that since something could be AP 0, does it now become AP plus 1?
I was gonna bring that up, but that seems like it adds 1 to your armor save. Come on, we all know that. That's not.
We all know that that's what it's supposed to be, but the way it is written, it is not clarified that way. It's just like the dreadnoughts, which currently have the reduce. Some of them have the reduced damage by 1. And it doesn't say to a minimum of 1.
Yeah.
Which, again, we know that that's probably how that's going to be ruled when they do the commentary release, which the commentary and the rule, the points are supposed to be out the 16th.
So Friday, right?
I believe so. Yeah,
Nice.
4 days. And if that is the case, then maybe we'll see that with that as well. Or maybe we'll just go to some tournaments and exploit that for a little bit and
then get the ban hammer.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
I guess the nerf hammer. All right, so moving on. There will be, by the way, a bunch of discussion about rules as written versus rules as intended in this, just because there are a lot of these questions. What are we supposed to do? And we'll get to each one of those individually as they actually come up. The next one is the Teleportarium strat. This is very good. If it looks familiar for my Grey Knights players out there, this is basically what the Grey Knights get as an army-wide rule, except you have to spend 1 CP. What's very, very cool is this targets 2 kill teams or 1 Adeptus Astartes infantry unit from your army. At the end of your opponent's fight phase, you remove those units from the battlefield as long as they are not in engagement range with 1 or more enemy units, and then in your next movement phase, so like 2 phases later, you get to put them back down anywhere on the board as if they were deep struck. This is super, super good. Do you have any insight, Jason?
What I don't like is that it's at the end of your opponent's fight phase. So I'm concerned that you're gonna be holding things in the wrong spot tactically. I can see it, and I can see how good it can be, because you could hide something in your backfield objective, leave it there, end of the turn, okay, let's do this. But I can also see where people will play this tactically incorrect. I look forward to it. I think it'll be good. I think it has play.
I love movement shenanigans. I especially love them when they're in your opponent's phase. This does mean, however, because they're off the board during your command phase, they might not get some of the buffs that they might otherwise get, but that's something we're just gonna have to play with.
Now, a high-end tech move on this would be that you could pull 2 units that are below half strength or under effect of negatives for battle shock. You could pull them off the board, and since they will not be on the board during the command phase, they would not test.
Right. And that's another thing that's brought up with the Grey Knight players as well. So we'll see if any of that gets patched, because it seems like battle shock is everywhere in this edition. And there are some cool ways that Deathwatch get around that, and this is one of those ways. The last one of the general stratagems is called Adaptive Tactics. you choose up to 2 kill teams from your army, and then you can put those 2 kill teams into a different tactic than the rest of your army is in. So going back to those tactics that we talked about at the beginning, this means that if you selected the Furrer for your whole army, you could put 2 kill teams into Malleus instead, or 1 Adeptus Astartes unit. One of the things that I found not really well spelled out in the stratagem is the fact that it doesn't tell you if you can use it on a tactic that's already been used. So let's say on turn 1, you use Fur for your whole army. Then on turn 2, can you put 2 kill teams back into Fur? And then on turn 3, can you put 2 of them into Fur? And so on and so on. Because as we know, Fur is the best one. That's the sustained hits of 1. What do you think, Jason?
I'm gonna agree with you on that. The furry is the best one. And I think everybody should be into furries, but that's a different story. But the strat doesn't say once per game. It does not say choose a tactic that is has not been selected. It does not say, it doesn't have any restrictions on that. I think there is a problem with that strat, and it is going to be used that way.
Yeah, I think so too. Because rules as written, I agree that I would just keep my 2 most powerful offensive kill teams in for the entire game if I possibly could, with the way that this is currently written. Furor! Yeah, Furor. Furor.
No,
At least it's not Führer, right?
I'm gonna just continue to call it the Fury tactic.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or furry.
Furor. Furor. All right. So the other 3 that we get, because we all know in 10th that what they were trying to do with these indices is they were going to cut everybody down to about 6 total stratagems. We get 3 more. They all have to do with special issue ammunition. 1 is Kraken rounds, 1 is Hellfire rounds, and 1 is Dragonfire rounds. We'll save Hellfire rounds for the last, because I think it's going to be the biggest discussion. Kraken rounds. So these all affect 2 kill teams. These are all used in your shooting phase only. They all affect every single ranged weapon in a kill team. That means it affects your Melta, it affects your aggressor storm bolter or bolt storm gauntlets. Anything that goes bang in your shooting phase gets this. So Kraken rounds increases the armor pen of every weapon by 1, and it improves the range by 6 inches. This is exactly the same as it was in 9th in the effect. And then I should also mention, you can't use more than 1 of these on 1 unit at the same time. You may only use 1 on 1 or on 2 units. I guess these specifically are 2 units. Anyway, so this one is exactly like it was in 9th, only it costs CP and it affects every single ranged weapon in the unit. That means that this would also affect things like crack missiles, melta-guns, eliminator bolt rifles, eliminator las fusils. Anything that goes bang gets this effect. What do you think of the Kraken rounds?
I want to point out one thing. Your read is fairly right on this. It's 2 kill teams,
right,
or 1 other. So your las fusils and things like that, unless they are part of a kill team,
right,
it's going to be a single use.
that is what I meant, is that in like a Spectrus kill team, but yes. We'll get to that too in a little bit.
We will. The Kraken rounds, I really never see these being used. They're really good against very specific armies. You'll probably bust them out every once in a while against maybe Marines, definitely Custodes, but for the most part, I think you're just going to skip on the Kraken rounds. There's a reason why I moved the strats around in your PowerPoint.
Thank you. So I just want to point out that in 10th, with AP generally coming down, you see a lot of AP 1 and 2 now, not so much AP 3 or 2 and 3 like we did In 9th, you definitely don't see the AP4 very much, almost at all. This gives you a little more oomph into a target.
It does.
And it's also nice to push slightly squishy units off of their save at all and just start doing wounds. So I like it. Also, as a newer player, I make movement mistakes all the time. Having that extra 6 inches to make sure that a unit shoots when it otherwise wouldn't be able to is nice. But that's a bad play. So don't play like that. Dragonfire rounds. So again, this is all the same stipulations as every other one, but what it does is until the end of the phase, all ranged weapons, all ranged weapons equipped by models in your unit have the assault and ignores cover ability. So again, if you have a bunch of Terminators in a kill team with the Cyclone missile launchers, you can advance them and still shoot as long as you use Dragonfire rounds. You can use it with anything. They all become assault. What do you think about this one?
This one has some play, especially for some unique situations where you're going to be trying to get somebody off an objective and you just are a little bit out of position. I think the Dragonfire rounds have a definite place.
I really like this. It's very thematic, and I'd like to point out that if you're firing at something in cover, ignoring cover is effectively adding 1 AP that you otherwise wouldn't have. So,
yes.
Yes. And what I would also like to point out that all of these are one Adeptus Astartes unit, not just kill teams. It does not say Adeptus Astartes infantry. So you could use Kraken rounds or Dragonfire rounds or even Hellfire rounds on your Gladiator Reaper.
Yes.
Or whatever else. Or as Fred Fortman is saying in chat, you can combine Kraken rounds with the Storm Speeder that gives +1 AP for +2 AP. It's gnarly. And now, yep, go ahead. Sorry.
The main issue I have with that is that a 1 or 2 AP is going to be all you're going to need in this edition, because there is a abundance of 4-up invulns that exist now.
That's true. Oh, it does say excluding vehicles. I'm sorry. I'm blind. You're absolutely right.
He's also the individual that pinned you, roar.
Yeah, no, I pinned it.
Oh, you pinned it?
Yeah,
right.
It's Furor. That way I remember how to actually say it. But yes, it does say excluding vehicles. That's good, because a repulsor executioner with that would be oppressive, to say the least.
Could be good.
Could be good. Hellfire rounds. So this is the biggest issue, balance-wise. Well, sort of. It's the way that this interacts with another rule called Devastating Wounds, but we'll get to the specifics in just a bit. Hellfire rounds are until the end of the phase. Ranged weapons equipped by models in your unit have the anti-infantry 2+ and the anti-monsters 5+ abilities. Sounds very, very good. You would use this every single turn. You've probably all heard about various Wombo combos you can come up with that also have devastating wounds and super high rate of fire abilities, and then Oath of Moment and all the rerolls, and you fish for 6s. And so, just to get this out of the way, there are some combinations where if everything goes well, you can do upwards of 30 to 50 mortal wounds in one shooting phase from 2 kill teams into 2 enemy units, enemy infantry units specifically. That is absolutely preposterous. You know what I'm saying. It's absolutely stupid. There's no reason that should exist, and we all know this is gonna get nerfed. So just want to put that out there. It's not Hellfire rounds' fault, though. I don't want to see Hellfire rounds specifically nerfed, except to say maybe under restrictions, it does not, interact with the devastating wounds keyword or something.
I'm gonna throw this out here right now. Be aware when you are playing, anything that has the anti-keyword does immediately trigger a critical hit on that value, which means if you have devastating wounds as well, that is mortal wounds. So it would be mortal wounds on a 2+ if you have anti-infantry 2 and some devastating wound mechanic. However, I expect in the commentary to see a cap on unit-based devastating wounds to be somewhere around 4 to 6.
Yeah. Just like in ninth, where we saw a lot of those abilities capped to a total of 6. That still means that this could theoretically do 12 almost every single turn, but still.
12 is not, that's not that impressive to say the least. Look at ninth edition before we left. There were so many different ways to do just a ridiculous amounts of mortals. Tyranids at their prime was doing 40 plus a turn.
I know. That was...
So
I only played into that a few times, but it was not fun.
But that is my prediction, and my prediction may or may not be true. We'll see what happens. Otherwise, I'm going to be wrecking some face with Deathwatch for a while.
Yeah, it's not like Games Workshop is super fast to patch most of this stuff either, unfortunately. But capping is probably, yeah. Capping it sounds smart. That still means that every single turn you have 2 kill teams doing 6 mortal wounds into, you know, every single unit that they're firing at. But that's much easier to deal with than 50 or 30 or whatever, which is obviously quite a lot. Is there anything else you want to say about special issue ammo, Jason, before we move on to our next slide?
No, I'm good.
Cool. Boop. All right, so now we're getting into the enhancements. So these are kind of like relic and warlord traits combined in 10th edition. The first one is Thief of Secrets. This one is much better than it was in 9th. Adeptus Astartes model only improved the strength, damage, and armor pen of the bearer's melee weapon by 1. If an enemy model, any model, is destroyed as the result of a melee attack made by the bearer, then at the end of that phase, until the end of the battle, you improve the strength, damage, and armor pen of the weapon by 2 instead of 1. So this is where your smash captains come in, doing absurd amounts of damage. This is really fun and interesting. What do you think, Jason?
I'm gonna I'm gonna side cut to another show that I've recently been partaking in. Basically, it's a drinking game where every time we say it depends on the points, you have to take a drink.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
We've been reviewing indexes and stuff. For all of the enhancements except Thief of Secrets, it depends on the points. If you do not take Thief of Secrets, you're doing it wrong. The Watchmaster alone, you put him in with the squad, you kill a Termagant, he's now strength 8 minus 4 AP, D3 plus 2 damage. And he'll just walk around the rest of the game smashing things.
With Lance. Secrets, so he has +1 to wound on the charge.
Yeah, Thief of Secrets it's an auto take. It is literally the only one that I do not say depends on the points. If you don't take Thief of Secrets, you're doing it wrong.
And we'll also go into more detail later, but the Watchmaster is very good in this index.
A beast.
He's an auto take. But anyway, back to enhancements. Beacon Angelus has been changed. It's much less hard. It's much less difficult to use, but it does increase our movement stuff. Adeptus Astartes model only models in the bearer's unit have the deep strike ability. I was reading the NoobHammer review and they brought up a very good point. At least so far, we have seen almost no ways that units gain the deep strike ability outside of their own datasheet. So this does that, which is already very cool all by itself. In addition, you can target the bearer's unit with the rapid ingress stratagem for 0 CP. So you can come out of deep strike turn 1 for 0 CP with this stratagem, which is super cool.
Yeah, and Deathwatch is missing the one really amazing unit from the Marine Codex, and that's Devastators.
Yeah.
but you will be replacing it with a
Stern guard.
nope, you're going to replace it with a unit of Centurions with grav cannons,
I
and
do love my
they're gonna
Centurions.
probably have the Beacon Angelus. I just got to find the character that can go with them.
Yeah, this is very fun. It's very cool. It's very God, it's thematic in the way where like it's tricksy. You know, I like it.
Yep.
Moving on, we have the other two. The OCS key, which is supposed to sound like OCS if I remember right, the organization from World War II. But Watchmaster or Tech Marine only. At the start of your opponent's shooting phase, you select one enemy unit, that is excluding Titanic ones, within 12 inches and visible to the bearer. That model must immediately take a leadership test. If it passes until the end of the phase, that model has -1 to hit. If the test is failed, that model may not shoot this phase. Just full stop, cannot shoot. This thing will be interesting tech choice depending on how many vehicles we see in the meta.
I'm going to take a side note on this, and if you're playing along, it depends on the points.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can just probably preface the whole video on that. But it's all right. The thing is, it's kind of like the 9th edition. We had all these cool relics, but we had 2 or 3 that really stood out all the time, and that's what everyone took. And that's kind of how I feel about this one. Like, it seems good, but it seems much more niche than the other ones, and the other ones you're gonna want. Especially this one, the Tome of Ectoclades, or Ectoclades, however you're supposed to pronounce that. Watchmaster or Captain only. Once per battle, after you have selected an enemy unit using the Oath of Moment ability in your command phase, the bearer can immediately use this if they are on the battlefield. When they do, select a second enemy unit until the start of your next command phase. They basically get Oath of Moment again on a second unit once a battle. So that's reroll all hits and all wounds.
This one again is going to depend on the points. I expect to see this one coming in somewhere between 25 and 45 points. If it comes in on the low end, it's worth it 100%. If it comes in on the high end, it's going to be based on just your army build, because you may not be able to bring this. It's good. I'm not gonna lie, it's good.
Yeah,
but if you're looking at 50 points to bring it, I'm not sure that I can cut 50 points from my army to make it work.
Nope, that's a fair point. Puns. And Fred is saying that vehicles can move out of the 12 inches in their movement phase, and that's absolutely true. 12 inches is not very far, so we'll see if the OCS key is worth it, but I agree with you 100% on all of these. Jason, obviously it will depend on how expensive they are.
It's 100%. And they're right about the key. The key is, at best, I think the key is garbage. It still does depend on the points though, because if it's like 5 points or 2 points, it may be something that you take because it then fills those last 2 or 3 points at the end of your list.
Yeah.
You know, not because you want to take it, but because you can.
We saw some of the these kind of point updates in 9th come down pretty far in points towards the end of it. I think True Name Shard for Grey Knights was something like 5 points or whatever, because it was so niche. But so I don't know. We could see it. I do have an idea of like running an Oops All Dread Knights list with 3 each of the Redemptor versions as a joke. And this would be fun to bring to stop any anti-vehicle shenanigans, but then again, everything's probably just gonna die anyway, so.
Yeah, I'm still having issues with the army build. I'm not really exactly, I've read through it once, and I don't quite get it yet. I as experienced of a player as I am, I think the army build was written really poorly, so I'm not really sure what I'm allowed to bring.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I can't even kind of like base it off of old points and kind of figure
Yeah.
out about where I'm gonna be. I do know where I want to be, and I do know what I want to bring. Um, and this made it really easy today. It was good, but we'll get into those units and stuff in here in a little bit.
Yes, we will. So that's our 4 enhancements. I'm gonna move on. So kill teams. I'm glad to say that we kept kill teams. I was kind of worried that they like really shake that up, and they did sort of. But in general, little change from 9th edition. Keyword and model identification issues will abound. That was added by you, Jason, and we'll get into that specifically later because it is really bizarre. And if, I mean, not that Deathwatch is an army I would really recommend for a new player anyway, this will not help. We did not get Blade Guard into the Fortis kill team, but without combat squatting, that's not really that great anyway. Suppressors are allowed in a Spectre's kill team, but they lose the suppression ability, so meh. They're just guys with big guns now. Bikers did keep the infantry keyword, so they can move through terrain, which is great. Bikers take up only 2 spots in a transport, not 3. This is at the very beginning of the index, if you're wondering where I got that. Bikers, Terminators, all can go into any transport now, and they take 2 spots. So Deathwatch is the only army that can put Terminators in a Rhino, and it only takes 2 spots. It's very bizarre, but at least they told us this, and we don't have to figure this out later. We're the only army that can stick like a 8-man, I think, kill team in a Rhino with Terminators in it, and Bikers.
All I want to see is someone go to a tournament and run rhinos with 5 bikers in them.
Yeah, just they just leap out. That's specifically the kill team bikers, though. If you take a biker squad, that does not work that way. It's a kill team only. For, you know, some reason.
Yes.
All right, so building them is also a little different now. Before, it was very common to have like, so you still have to take 5 of your default ones, right? So you have to take like 5 intercessors, but then it was very common for us to take like 5 Hellblasters, and then we'd combat squad, right? You can't do that anymore. These are very specifically limited to the amount you can bring now. So a Proteus kill team cannot take 5 Van Vets and then combat squad them. Obviously, combat squadding is gone, but you can take 0 to 4 of the Vanguard Vets. So you can bring one, you know, obviously 1, 2, 3, or 4. So that means that every single kill team will have at least 3 different unit types in it. All bikers and all the kill teams are limited to a max of 2, no more. So you can't do what we could do in 9th, where we had a 5-man Outrider squad. That isn't a thing now. And then Indomitor kill teams have even more specific restrictions, and we'll get into those later. But Eradicators and Inceptors are limited to a maximum of 2. And then when I wrote this, I said there's no listed limit for aggressors, but then I realized that's because of the confusing wording on the data slate, which we'll get to in a bit, and I'll explain that in more specifics in a moment. Did I miss anything about the kill teams, Jason?
No, you covered it pretty well. I do want to address chat though. I think that the kill teams have gone. They're dead. I like the strat, but I don't think I'm ever gonna bring a kill team. With Blast out there and so many weapons having it, the fact that I have to bring 10 guys, I don't think I'm ever going to bring a kill team. Now,
Okay.
I'm saying that as I haven't put anything on the table.
Spicy take.
You know, I haven't, like, literally, I've not had a chance to play with this at all. It came out today. My initial thought is I will never use a kill team.
Spicy take. I agree with Fred. I think the Proteus is the best. I like the Indom too. I think the Spectrus is effectively dead thanks to the Teleportarium strat and the fact that they lose all of their special keywords. So you don't get Terror Troops on Reavers. You don't get suppression on Suppressor. Well, I guess that's the Spectrus team. But most kick in the teeth to me is that you don't get Omni Scramblers on the Infiltrators, which is the base troop that you have to take with a Spectrus team. So I think the Spectrus team is just kind of dead. Yeah, I can't.
I agree.
Maybe I'm missing something that says all been out for less than 24 hours, and I am not the world's best player. But I don't see a place for the Spectre's kill team anymore when you can just bring infiltrators as troops. Which also reminds me, the kill teams, unlike in 9th where they were troops and had OBSEC, in 10th they have OC of 1 each, except the bikes, which have 2. So they are not battle line. So they are not meant to hold objectives. They are meant to be shock troops that take them. I think that's an important thing to mention.
Yeah, we'll get into that. We'll
Yeah.
get into it.
So there's some notable data sheets. The Watchmaster gives shoot and charge after advancing or falling back automatically. You don't have to pay a CP for that. Just by having him attached to a unit, that unit gets to do that now. That's on top of his already great data sheet. He also gets to target a stratagem used by your opponent and make it cost 1 CP more for the rest of the game. So the Watchmaster is just, he's an auto take. His armor save went up to a 2+ from a 3+. He still has the 4-up invul. He's very, 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 very good now. And we'll get into the data sheet specifically, but he, like, the Watchmaster is, in my mind, is going to be in every single list. He's just ridiculous.
The Watchmaster is an auto take. If you're not taking the Watchmaster, again, I'm going to say this again, you're doing it wrong.
Watch Captain Artemis may actually be useful now in a very kind of specific way, and we'll get up to that, or get into that as well. And then the Corvus. I was kind of down on the Corvus when I read its data sheet at first, but I've had multiple people messaging me telling me that I miss an important bit, which is the transport capacity. It both lists out a number and then what every unit is in size, but it then also says or 1 kill team.
Yes, it does.
Which is incredible, because I constantly in 9th had issues trying to figure out how I'm going to fit a full kill team into them, or into 1 Corvus, and now you don't even have to worry about that. If it's in 1 kill team, the whole kill team just gets in there, no problem. It's fantastic.
Doesn't matter what they have. Yep.
Nope. So it's great. Now the data sheets in particular, we're looking at the Watchmaster here. As I said, he went up to a 2-up save. His Vigil Spear has the Lance property, which means he gets +1 to wound on the charge. It's 6 attacks, 2-up to hit, strength 6, -2, D3, and as Jason already mentioned, with the Thief of Secrets, this guy gets bonkers pretty quick.
It's 100%. You're putting Thief of Secrets on this guy. He's insane.
And on top of that, oh, go ahead, Jason.
Also with the Watchmaster ability, where you can increase the stratagem by 1, what is going to be found with current games, because we've been goofing around quite a bit with games right now. Obviously with points being horrible, but we've been trying to work out the rules and everything else. Overwatch is dumb. It's maybe the most busted thing that GW has ever put out in the game. So if you're playing against someone with flamers, even 1 squad, you're just going to increase Overwatch by 1 automatically. You're going to make it just cost more. because you don't want them to shoot you during your movement phase and then during your charge phase.
Yeah. So for those of you who might not be aware, Overwatch was changed so that it can now be used at the end of any phase. So
No movement and
it's just, well, I mean, movement's the one that matters. But so if you move your unit up within range of one of mine, I can spend 1 CP and Overwatch and shoot Overwatch at that unit in your turn. It's not only during the charge phase now. So Overwatch is a lot scarier. Flamer units are a lot scarier than they were previously. So what Jason is talking about is making Overwatch double the price to stop those kind of shenanigans. Yeah, I know there were some of these abilities in 9th. I think Harlequins had it, and it specifically stated in the rule that you couldn't use it on stuff like the reroll ability. I don't see that in this wording here, so but yes, once per battle after your opponent uses a stratagem, if this model is your warlord and he is on the battlefield, it can use this ability. If it does, until the end of the battle, increase the cost of that stratagem by 1 CP. So if you're playing a certain Iron Warriors player that's probably watching right now and he's using Demon Engine or whatever it's called all the time, you can make that cost a lot, and then he'll yell at you. It'll be funny. But the other thing is the unit that he's attached to just automatically is eligible to shoot and charge after advancing or falling back. So,
yep.
That's good. Stick this on your Terminators. They can advance all over the board. They can fire all their stuff, and then they can still charge you. It's great. All right, we'll go to Watch Captain. Oh, what? Do you have more to say?
Fortman corrected me. Last sentence on the Fire Overwatch strat, you can only use it once per turn.
Oh,
but
okay.
Still.
Yeah, I mean.
So we've been playing it wrong. So that'll change a few things. But still, using it, either that or Armor Contempt, another thing that you can use it against. But yes.
There he is. And it's called Demon Forge, my bad. But okay, so that's good. You can still use Overwatch once per turn, so that's nice. But it can be used at the end of the movement phase now, which is pretty nar. All right, so Watch Captain Artemis. He's so bad, I know of multiple people that have made him a sergeant in normal infantry squads because he never makes anything happen. He used to have all kinds of wacky grenade rules and stuff. He no longer has any of that stuff. In fact, he doesn't even have a bolter anymore. He just has a super powered flamer, which is anti-infantry 4+, devastating wounds, ignores cover and torrent. So it's he gets D6 attacks. He's automatically hitting. It's hilarious. It's ridiculous. And that's not why you bring him. He also has a feel no pain 6+. Which is also weird because it's not like he confers that to his unit. He just gets it. But he has tactical instinct. While this model is leading a unit, you can target that unit with a stratagem, even if that stratagem has already been used on another unit from your army this phase. In addition, that unit can be targeted with a stratagem even while it is battle shocked. That's pretty cool.
Which does open up multiple questions. Couple things I want to state on Artemis before I get into those questions is one, his weapon is insane. Auto hits, critical hits, and mortals on a 4+ against infantry. Insane. Absolutely beautiful. But it does not clarify whether it allows you to use a stratagem that can only be used once per turn. So if something says, let's say, for example, like counteroffensive or Overwatch, where it's once per turn. Thank you for pointing that out. Can I now target them again?
It says use this phase. I don't know. That's weird. Like, would it let you use Overwatch twice in one phase, but not? But then it says only once per turn. So yeah, that's an interesting question because most stratagems are limited to once per phase. And this is getting erased around the phase cap, but I think rules as intended, it would not get around the turn cap. But you're right that the wording does not make that obvious. And people will game that, yeah. And then he is Unstoppable Champion, which is the first time he dies, he gets on a 2-up, he pops back up with 1 wound remaining. It does not say he pops up back in the unit he was killed if you want him to die first. It does not say that he gets to immediately attach to a unit. So you would kill him, probably because he's the last model left. He would pop back up and still be a 1 model unit. This is okay, I guess. It's not why you bring him, that's for sure. But I think he's neat. He used to be absolute dog shit and nobody brought him at all. He has a lot of cool lore and otherwise no one used him. Now you might actually see him in a list. Who knows?
I brought him in 7th. I think it was 7th, where his grenade was a D weapon.
Oh, really? Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't play then, so. But I know it was an ion grenade in 8th and 9th, and it was not good. And he could kill himself with it in 8th, which was hilarious.
Oh, he could still kill himself in 7th with it, but if you hit something with it in 7th edition, I think it was on a 6, it was just you died.
Oh, the instant death rule? Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it was absolutely awful.
Sector, we already talked about the Hellfire rounds thing a little bit. We're gonna get into that a bit more soon, so stand by for that. So we're gonna go on to the Deathwatch Veterans here. These are our standard troops. These are in your you can bring them as their own unit or you can bring them in a Proteus kill team. They are very good.
Deathwatch Veterans are my new favorite unit.
They are very, very good. We don't have as much flexibility as we did in 9th. A lot of our profiles have been combined. You won't see combi weapons anymore. They're now long vigil range weapons. You won't see a lot of our hammer versus sword versus axe choices. That's all long vigil melee weapon. I think this is great personally. It allows you a lot more modeling freedom, and then there's just fewer choices to make at list building, which makes things faster. I want to point out that we kept our frag cannon, we kept our Infernus heavy bolter, and then we also kept our Deathwatch thunder hammer, which used to be called the heavy thunder hammer. Yep. And it's still very good. But
it's amazing.
But not only are these guys battle line with 2 OC, they have death to the alien. So in 9th, you got to reroll hits of 1 against Eldari, Nids, and all the Xenos. Now you just get to reroll hits of 1 all the time. Oh, and in 9th it was only melee, right? Now you just get to reroll hits of 1 into anything. If it's not Imperium or Chaos, so if it's Xenos, basically, you reroll all your hit rolls, all of them. This doesn't cost a CP. This isn't a once per game thing. You just reroll all your fucking hits into Xenos, all game long, ranged, melee, don't care. You're rerolling hits.
Yeah, these guys are bonkers. I cannot even stress how amazing the Deathwatch Veterans are. This is another one of those things where it does not depend on points. These things are in your army.
Yeah, I mean, they're cool models anyway. They have all the bandoliers and pouches, and I love modeling mine, and now, oh gosh, they're so good. You're never gonna feel bad putting these guys in your army list, ever. They are fantastic.
Yeah, they're amazing.
I want to go through, just because it's such a core part of playing Deathwatch, I do want to go through most of the weapon profiles. What do you think about that frag cannon, buddy?
Frag cannon's pretty good. I wish the range was longer though. 18-inch range is pretty bad.
Yeah,
It's probably going to be enough for me not to take it.
yeah. I just now, right now, just at this moment, realize it's rapid fire D3. For some reason, I thought it was rapid fire 1, so you get like one more shot. I realized it's rapid fire D3, so within 9 inches, it's 2D3 attacks, which is pretty cool.
Now, again, when we get to a later unit, the Corvus, these things are coming back. I got, I think, 12 or 15 frag cannons that may be making their way back to the board.
Nom, 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 nom. You got an Alpha Strike unit. That's awesome. Infernus Heavy Bolter. These already have sustained hit 1 for the Heavy Bolter part included. It's 3 attacks. 4 up to hit because it is a heavy weapon. So if they stand still, it's 3 to hit now. Strength 5. Otherwise, it's the exact same profile in 9th.
Yep.
And then you got the heavy flamer as well. What is interesting though is in 9th you could fire both the bolter and the flamer profile at the same time. Now you must pick. It says down below there. But before selecting targets for this weapon, you must pick one of its profiles. So you are no longer going to be able to fire both anymore. But you do have that flamer threat for anti-charge or for like clearing out chaff. And then you have a heavy bolter for like firing into, I don't know, other space marines. I think oh, sorry. Go ahead.
That's going to be a weapon that really depends on what it costs on the points, because that one is, it's not good. I would rather have a missile launcher. I would rather have a frag cannon, and more than both of those, I would rather have the long vigil range weapon, because
Yes.
those are the money makers.
I'm saving those guys for last. And then the missile launcher, I think it's all pretty much the exact same as it was in 9th. The range is the same, the strength is the same, the AP is the same. I think crack went down 1 AP.
Strength went up.
And strength went up by 1, which makes sense. That's supposed to break, vehicles and stuff. And it would suck if it was still strength 8. Anyway, but yes, the long vigil range weapon. So again, this is all those combi plasma, combi melta, combi flamer, all that stuff. It's been, I guess, even like grav pistols and stuff for now long vigil range weapons. Anyway, these are incredible. And Jason, do you want to explain why?
Long vigil ranged weapons have 2 key things. First, they have anti-infantry 4, which means any roll of 4 or better is a critical hit. Devastating weapons says anytime you roll a crit, the damage is changed to mortals. So who cares that they're AP 0? I roll a 4+ to wound, you just take mortals.
Levi is asking if they're also the shotguns, or they say I thought those were the shotguns. In this case, yes, they would also be the shotguns if that's what they're modeled with.
Yeah, you can basically model them with anything you want now. Give them las cannons.
Yeah, they do hit on 4s, which isn't great. But they are rapid fire 1, which is pretty nice, and anti-vehicle or anti-infantry 4+, and then devastating wounds. So, I mean, anytime you hit another infantry unit, say a unit of Terminators with a 4-up, you're automatically doing a crit wound, which is automatically becoming a mortal wound. So, yes. It's not bad. Again, it depends on the points. If these are 3 points each, might sprinkle a few throughout your list. If they're 10 points each, you'll never see one on the board.
I think they come base with them, so I think that you're looking at your base weapons having this.
I thought that would be the bolt gun.
Yeah, bolt gun and long vigil melee weapon. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's the other side of the data sheet, yeah. Yeah. So we'll see what they cost.
Yeah, that will depend on the points, because you're right. If the long vigil weapons are too much per model,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be a no, thank you.
Yeah.
And the long vigil melee weapons are still amazing. So you may find,
Isn't that just the normal power sword profile now?
yeah,
Yeah.
strength 5 -2, 1 damage.
Yeah, so that's the new power sword profile. So all your swords, all your axes, all your maces are now just long vigil melee weapons, which is cool for modeling purposes. Again, you can do whatever you want. The Deathwatch Thunderhammer is a strength 10 Thunderhammer now. Otherwise, I think everything is the same AP and well, it's plus. No, it is the same as every other Thunderhammer, but it's strength 10 now, and it has devastating wounds. Is also very cool. So if you swing 3 times, you hit once, you do a 6 to wound. That's now 3 mortal wounds instead of just 3 damage. Pretty nice. Close combat weapon, that's the default profile every Marine's gonna have. And then the Xenophase Blade, this used to ignore invuls, it no longer does that. But you do get an extra attack, so this is kind of like having a chainsword. Otherwise, it's the exact same profile as the long vigil melee weapon, except it also has devastating wounds. So, again, it's gonna what, Jason?
It's gonna rock. It's gonna kill stuff.
Yeah.
But it is gonna
Okay.
depend on the points.
So new Thunderhammers are all damage too? Cool.
Yeah, that's what I was actually reading as you asked me that question, which is
got it.
why I was confused on the asking me to say it depends on the points.
Got it.
Because we got multiple people now in the chat playing with me.
Nice, nice. Okay. Drink. So it's 3 damage. It's strength 10 instead of 8. The heavy Thunderhammer is still good, y'all. If you were worried that that was going away, it isn't. In fact, you can even see on this screen here that there's one modeled right with it, right there. All right, moving on. This is the veteran bikers. You wanted to talk about these specifically, Jason. I didn't think anything special about them, but you are much better at this game than I am. So, take it away.
So the first thing I want to point out about the veteran bikers is they are going to be key. Anytime you have something that is very fast moving, it allows it to take over objectives. It has a good OC, it has a good save, it has a good toughness, and more than any of that, it's got a 12-inch movement. Plus, it is one of the few units in the game that did not lose the Auto 6 advance. The Auto 6 advance is not present in a lot of the Marine models.
Okay. That's good to know.
Second, it can be equipped with long vigil ranged weapons. That
Yes,
will
sir.
depend on the points, but you now have a squad that you can put not only an Astartes shield on, so you have a biker with a 4-up invuln, but you have devastating wounds and anti-infantry 4 from the weapons. These are going to be phenomenal. I unfortunately own like 0 bikes except for outright.
Nice.
So I need to go buy bikes.
Yeah. And I'd like to point out, you can fire the twin link bolt gun now, which is cool. That means you reroll all wounds. And you can fire the long vigil ranged weapon at the same time. So each bike's gonna fire 3 times at minimum 4 if they're up close. So yeah, that's a great point. And now they can also, at least probably the sergeant can take a Xenophase blade, which is
insane.
Oh, only the sergeant can grab the long vigil range weapon. All right, so I mean, whatever. You got one of those in there.
It's only the Sarge, but again, it's still mortal wounds. Mortal wounds are going to be key in this edition because there are so many units that are going to have good saves, and with the bad AP that's out there, the mortal wounds are so important. So having the devastating wounds is so important, and the ability to put that on your biker sergeant, so good. It's also why the Xenophase blade is so good. It has the devastating wounds profile. So
also,
again,
might I point out that the Xenophase blade model is incredible.
Yes, it is.
It's a Necron sword, and they don't care. They're gonna use it anyway. What?
Yes.
Heresy, Precious. I don't know. All right. So the bikers are great. OC2 is really, really good. They're fast, and I did not realize, because I haven't read a bunch of the Space Marine biker or the Space Marine data slates yet, or sheets. I didn't realize that most of them lost turbo boost, so that's really cool. All right, moving on. Oh, my baby. Mwah, mwah, mwah. My baby, the Corvus Blackstar. I have put this thing on a table like 3 or 4 times, and every single time it has betrayed me and done next to nothing. Let's talk about why it is potentially very, very good now. Again, based on the points. Everybody drink. So, take it away. Because I am super stoked.
I'm really looking forward to using the Corvuses again. The Corvuses have a couple of amazing rules that really, really bring them out to the forefront. First off is the Twin Assault Cannon. When you're in the Fury tactic, they have Devastating Wounds, Twin Linked, which means you get to reroll the wound. It is a Deathwatch unit. It's an Astartes unit, so you can use the strat on it. So you'll be getting the Devastating Wounds on a 2+. That's basically 6 mortals from this unit.
It's
almost
a vehicle.
Guaranteed.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's a vehicle. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a vehicle.
That got corrected earlier. But you could carry Terminators, which you could do that in. You could carry a kill team. That is another rule that is so amazing. The fact that it says, or 1 kill team. So you just don't care what the transport capacity is. You got 15 transport capacity. Cool. They still managed to somehow fit in there.
Yep.
It does have a move over bomb. It's very fast. And 14 wounds with T10. This is going to actually be something to deal with on the board.
It's a flying rhino.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. Hurricane launchers are in there. The twin assault cannons, which you got to bring. Storm strike missiles are amazing. And you can also have ignore cover from the Auspex array.
Mm-hmm.
I'm jazzed. I own 5 of these.
5?
Wow. Yeah, well, at the beginning of 8th, there was no limit as to the rule of 3.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I went to the American Team Championships down in Chattanooga, my team had one guy that ran 5 Storm Ravens, and I ran 5 Corvus as the counter to the 5 Storm Raven list, because the Corvus were -2 to be hit against flyers.
So that's amazing. That's hilarious. Fred brought it up already in chat, but I was going to point out, because of the Infernum Halo launcher, the Corvus has the smoke keyword. Fred points out that no aircraft has -1 to hit anymore, but the Corvus does. It's going to cost you a CP, but the Corvus has -1 to hit. So even if it's hovering, you can pop smoke and give it -1 to be shot. That's so awesome.
Yes.
That's so not only is it a flying rhino, well, it is now like literally a flying rhino because they also have smoke. So that's incredible. Usually, as I am sure all of you in chat know, if you've ever had a flyer on the board, it's usually the first thing that dies, and this will help it live. And now it's a little harder to kill, which I'm all for.
Yeah, it does have hover and it does have stealth. So yeah, it's insane. Also,
oh, what's the stealth keyword do?
You don't know what the stealth
No,
keyword
I don't.
does?
Oh my gosh. Oh, chat. What's that do?
No. Stealth says if every model in a unit has this ability, then each time a ranged attack is made against it, subtract 1 from that attack's hit roll.
Oh, so you get smoke, so you can pop smoke and then double up potentially if they have like +1 to hit?
That is correct.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, baby. All right. My Corvus is going to get some playtime. I love that model so much. It's amazing. I did not know what the stealth keyword did. That's fantastic. I thought they were using the smoke keyword to kind of like make it stealthy. Yeah, so Aaron, you can double up. So it'll naturally always be -1 to be hit. You can never change the modifier to more than +1 or -1. But let's say they have an ability that gives them +1 to hit flyers. You can then pop smoke and still make it -1 to be hit. So because you have a total modifier of -2, they have a total modifier of +1. They're still at -1. So this is good. This is a survive ability thing, and being these are supposed to be like experimental, super expensive stealth transports. That's really neat. I really like that.
I'm all in on the Corvus. I think there is
Yeah,
some
that's
definite
amazing.
play on them. There's some weird combos between drop pods, Corvuses. I think Deathwatch is going to have a nasty army. I think, in fact, me and a guy who I play with pretty much on a weekly basis, Brad Chester, you guys may have heard of him.
A little bit.
We've been going back and forth as to whether Deathwatch or Black Templars is the best. I 100% believe that it's Deathwatch. I think Deathwatch is by
Black
far
Armor,
and away.
go.
It's gonna be the standout army for Marines, at least index wise.
Oh, damn, Legion, you've missed a lot. We're 1 hour in. It depends on how many questions you guys throw us at the end. We're probably 2/3 through the slide deck, so I don't know. We'll see. You got maybe another hour. Man, I am excited for the Corvus. I didn't even realize all of that. I clearly did not read it all. I read it too fast. It's a flying rhino that's always -1 to be hit, can still pop smoke, bombs you, and can definitely always carry a full kill team. That's amazing. And you guys are making me want to go grab another drinky drink, but in fact, I think I'll do that because this has been all I've been reading about all day long. Jason, if you want to take it away for about 30 seconds and explain the most common Proteus kill team Wombo combo with all the crazy like mortal wound output, I'll go grab a drink.
All right. So the current problem combo, or Wombo combo as he has it labeled, is that you will have 2 Proteus kill teams, 3 assault cannons with the Terminators. You're going to be in furry lover tactics. You will use the Hellfire strat. You'll use the 1 relic to make both of them be able to benefit from the Oath of the Moment. So you get to reroll the wound, and you are going to fire like no one's ever fired before. The damage output will be insane, and with the mortal wound capacity from the devastating wounds from the assault cannons and the critical hits from being 2+ against infantry, it does have a mortal wound output of approximately 15 to 20. This is, again, as it says, it will be nerfed. But yeah, and the Stern Guard veteran, I didn't even read that one.
Yeah, the Stern Guard, because they can fire twice in one shooting phase.
The problem with the Stern Guard, though, is that they are not a kill team, so you can't choose a second unit.
Right.
You're actually going to do more with 2 kill teams than you will with the Stern Guard.
Yeah. I just wanted to put that in there because of just, you know, and the Stern Guard can only fire again if they kill the unit that they originally fired at. So there's a lot, it's a lot trickier to get your 1 Stern Guard unit to, well, I guess if you're doing that much mortal wounds, that's not really true, but you know what I mean. It's a little trickier play-wise to get 1 Stern Guard unit to do all that damage, wipe 1 unit, and then fire at another unit. But
yeah, especially with the reroll hits to reroll wounds with Oath, and then the assault cannons having devastating wounds, and then anti-infantry 2 from the strat, you're looking at just on average, it's with the what is it, sustained fire? Exploding.
Sustained hits, but yeah. Sector is asking if you bring Artemis, can you use it on 2 of them? You could, although I don't think Artemis can be attached to a Stern Guard unit. I didn't put the back of the data sheets in the slide deck because they're usually super boring. But if Jason could look that up, I would be very appreciative. So technically, yes, you're right.
Artemis can be put in a Proteus kill team, which does mean that you could use it first on the kill team and then use his ability to use it again on a Stern Guard unit. So
Or
you could
you
do
get that, yeah.
You could do 2 kill teams and then also a Stern Guard unit.
Yeah, that's that's wild. Oh man, that's wild. Yeah, so this is gonna get nerfed. we don't need we don't need 30 plus potentially 50 mortal wounds for 80 mortal wounds in one turn going out. That's absolutely not okay in any way. It's hilarious.
It is hilarious,
but it's not good for the game.
It is not, but you have to realize the first problem with what we're all saying is that your opponent basically walked out in the open so that you had enough targets to do this too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
but you know, you can also wait till turn 2 or 3 and then do the Wombo combo, you know.
Again, still, but then they just walked out in the open to do this. And if anyone did actually look at or did watch the Kansas City games, they did stream some games of 10th edition at Kansas City, and the terrain is way different. They want us to change all of our boards again, which is kind of annoying.
Okay.
I'm interested. They took the big ruins and basically split them in half. So now there's more ruins on the board, but they're more smaller ruins.
Oh,
so
okay.
it's gonna, so instead of 12 by 12, they're 12 by 6.
Yeah.
So you have 2 12 by 6 ruins on each half.
Interesting.
It's gonna be a lot harder to get line of sight. And this combo, though it's amazing, you would actually have to be a bad player to have this be happening to you.
So Levi brought up what I was thinking about as well. With all the movement shenanigans that Deathwatch is getting, like we have Teleportarium. If you have the beacon, you can rapid ingress on any turn. You know, we have a Corvus, we have rhinos to move things around with a full kill team in it. We have drop pods. I think that you could pretty much do a turn 1 with rapid ingress and 2 drop pods, or even rapid ingress and 1 drop pod. You can at least get 2 units probably in range, regardless of where the enemy is, unless I really don't know the new terrain rules at all, which is possible.
I don't disagree that you may be able to get 2. The problem is, if you're playing, this is me kind of delving into the higher end of the competitive, so not your friendly garage hammer, type play.
Yeah. No, yeah. This is to win. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're playing against the top of the top, the chance of you being able to deep strike and draw line of sight to multiple units that are of value, notice I said of value,
sure,
is very, very slim. Because most of the time when you're looking at the best of the best players, all of their movement has an intentional purpose. You can see them measuring from the corner the 9.5 inches, so you can't deep strike back there. You can see them measuring from unit to unit to make sure that there is no way that you have anywhere to place a drop pod or anything like that. At the higher end, I'm not saying middle table, I'm not saying someone that's going to go 4-1. I'm saying the 5-0 people at the end of a 5-round tournament, these people are thinking about those things. Can you go 4-1? Can you pull off this combo? Probably. In fact, there's a good chance that maybe round 1, round 2, you may catch someone that just didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
There's always going to be that guy at the tournament who's had too much to drink or is new to the game or is just
looking at you, Jason.
I'm not going to comment on that, but there's always that guy that you may be able to pull that trick on if they're not ready for it. And you're not going to find that in the top players. You will find that probably in the mid tables, definitely on the low end, but the top tables are never going to fall for it.
Oh, you just kicked a hornet's nest based on chat, buddy. I love it. I'm gonna wait a minute here and just see what folks say, because you know I was listening to, gosh, what is that? There's a Frontline podcast. I can't remember the name now, but one of the hosts calls themselves the scourge of the mid tables, and that's kind of where I think I fit most of the time. Like, that's where I landed in LVO. You know, I've taken an RTT and another small tournament, but for the most part, like when the going gets tough at a GT or a major, I end up right around middle of the pack. So, yeah, for me, I see this being like Deletion City. You know, like it's just
Well, Lex Mechanic brings up a very good point. The double shooting veterans is a possibility. That could happen. 100% agree with that. However, again, we're getting back to that same comment. Depending on deployment, depending on how things look, your later, higher ranked players, what we really need to do is we really need a chess rating system for the higher end players. I would not consider
ELO.
myself, yeah, I would not consider myself the top of the top, but I do practice with a lot of them. And in doing so, I see those things that they do, and I see the amount of time that they spend with the game. And sometimes just those little tiny, intricate measurements matter so much in the grand scheme of the game.
All right, well,
So,
Don is probably fiercely typing now. But,
Don's one of the guys I invited to
oh, cool.
watch the video with us.
Well, hello, Don. Thanks
He's a
for
buddy of
coming by.
he's a buddy of mine from Columbus, Ohio. He's a good guy. Me and Don usually go back and forth. He hates playing me in tournaments. Absolutely hates it because 90% of the time, I don't know about 90, maybe 80% of the time I beat him. But it's usually because of some bad mistake that he makes. It's usually like, well, I'm gonna try this, and it was horrible.
That sounds like me.
Yeah, and that's what it is. Is that he's a really good player. He is probably on the edge of the top end, either in the top middle or the bottom of the top players. It's just when he does something and it just goes wrong. Like I remember the last game I played him in, I was playing my Tau, he was playing his Eldar, and he just was unaware of the amount of firepower I could put down. And he came around a corner and I wiped out so much of his army, and he was not happy about it.
Yep, that's what Tau does. They have one phase that they're active in.
Well, maybe not anymore. We haven't
That's
seen
true.
what they do this time.
That's true.
They did have a lot of melee weapons that were in their relics, so that may change.
Onager Gauntlet. Don is less than pleased, they say, but Aaron has a question, which is, doesn't your local meta dictate how you play?
Here's the problem with local meta. If you want to be a big fish in a little pond, then yes, your local meta will dictate how you play. If you want to be a big fish in the big pond with the big ocean and all the big players,
All the big stuff.
You can't play to the local meta. You have to be able to beat the local meta with something that will compete with the top tier players. So, in saying that, yes, if you want to just continue to stay in your area, participate in RTTs and GTs in your area, definitely play to your local meta and let it dictate how you're going to play. 100% agree with that, because that will keep you sharp within your own little area, and it will not only keep you sharp within your own little area, it will allow you to force them to change, which will force you to change, and eventually you'll all get better, which is amazing. It's steel sharpens steel. It is 100% the best thing. However, if you are going to get out, and you're going to go to the bigger tournaments. You're going to go to Adepticon. You're going to go to LVO. You're going to go to BAO. You're going to go to ACO. Whatever the big events you're going to go to. Like I'm going over to ATC again this year. I want to do better than I did last year. We took 4th last year. I want to do better than 4th at ATC this year. But if you want to compete at the top level, you have to have a list that will score winning level points against every meta. And that's where the game gets truly tough to dictate how you build your army. Because you can't be good against just the people you're hanging out with.
Speaking of meta, and those are all great points, but I do want to bring out, like, there's a lot of conjecture right now about what the meta might look like, and folks are saying that, you know, with the widening of the toughness gap, this might be a vehicle edition. If that's true, then this Wombo combo becomes a lot less scary. Because if there's very little infantry out there to kill, this is anti-infantry 2+, and it's not anti-vehicle anything. It is anti-vehicle 5+, but yeah, you know, knights and stuff will be a lot harder than, say, you know, Gaunt Carpet or something, you know?
Well, and that's a great point, is that if we do look at all the vehicles and stuff, everything got a good boost to its wounds and toughness. Dreadnoughts, all the vehicles, everything. They're way tougher than they were before. And so your baseline weapons are not even going to have that 5 to wound. They're going to be looking at 6s or worse, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I realize you can't get worse than a 6, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And the overall tactic will change the meta. The meta may start as vehicle heavy, but then you'll find people running Haywire. I forget which army had the Haywire previewed.
It was Quinn's or Eldari. Well, one of the two.
Yeah, but the Haywire weapon was insane. It was truly beautiful. Like, it would wreck a vehicle army in a heartbeat. And then some of the big guns in this edition are, in all honesty, they're stupid big. Like, they're way too big for what they should be. Prime example was the big gun on the Repulsor Executioner. It's like strength 16 minus 4, D6 plus 6 damage.
The laser destroyer or whatever it's called.
Yeah, it's like next level stupid. The Tau, I think the Tau railgun was also, I think that was also previewed, and it did insanely stupid damage. So you'll find that initially, if we do enter a vehicle meta, Damned, I'll get to your question in just a second. If we do find us that we enter into a vehicle meta, you're going to find that our players are going to go into an anti-vehicle meta.
Yeah, that's true. You'll see a lot more eradicators. You'll see a lot more of that, and Haywire and stuff like that. Yeah.
And to answer Damned Legion's question, as I brought up earlier in the show, I will be running Centurions with grav cannons, because grav cannons are devastating wounds and they're anti-vehicle 3+. So they just do 3 mortals against vehicles on a 3 or better.
Plus, it sounds like the Corvus is at least an auto take for the first few games to see how it goes.
It depends on the points.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Drink. All right, let's move on. We did Wombo combos. All right, so these are some things that make you say, what the fuck? If you looked through the index closely, which clearly I didn't because I missed that the Corvus was stealth. Cassius has a heavy flamer on their Terminator. It's strength 2. I don't think that was intended. And I'm pointing this out to talk about how there were clearly some things in this index that were missed. And I'm not talking about the big egregious stuff like we can do 50 mortal wounds in 1 turn. I mean, like, there are a lot of little things that were also missed. So the heavy flamer on the Cassius Terminator is strength 2, according to this index. That's clearly wrong. And then going back to the whole building kill teams thing, this is where we were talking about at the beginning of the show, where there's some keyword confusion. Take a look at this. So I'm comparing, on the left side is the Proteus, the back of the data slate, the building, the rules on how you build the actual unit. On the left is the Proteus kill team. On the right is the Fortis kill team. And if you look on the left, you see, okay, kill team Veterans, I got that. Kill team Bikers, I got that. Kill team Terminators, okay, that makes sense. But you're like, what is a kill team Veteran with jump pack? Those don't technically exist. I know that they're talking about Vanguard Veterans, but that's a weird way to phrase that. And then they explain what like weapon that they start with and all that. If you now look at the Fortis kill team, it says you have to start with at least 5 intercessors. Okay, we all know that. But then it says you get 0 to 4 of intercessors with plasma incinerators. Well, that's not a unit that technically exists. We all know they...
That's the Hellblasters.
Yeah, yeah, and we all know that. Like, we dig that, right? We understand that, but it's like, that's not... If you go by raw, you technically can't build this unit except with Outriders and Intercessors, because Intercessor with Plasma Incinerator doesn't exist. And Intercessors with heavy bolt pistols are Assault Intercessors. Like, we know that, but it doesn't say that. So there's some confusing ways you would build your kill team. And this is also true for the Indomitor, or Indomitor kill team. It's just as confusing. I wanted to point this out just to make it clear, like this index has some issues in it. Like it's not perfect. It's not one and done, that's for sure.
Give me 1 second on following up or commenting on that. I'm gonna look at something here. I just gotta find them because I don't know.
What are you looking for specifically? Now I'm curious.
I just brought up the Marine Codex, and I'm trying to find.
Oh, like did they change the name?
I'm trying to find the Hellblasters to see if they are classified by keywords that would allow that to be what they mean. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Like if they actually did change that to make more sense. I can switch to my browser as well and we can all look together, but then that would be, I don't know where I'm going.
Well, it's page 158, 157, 158 is the Hellblasters of the Marine Codex. And they say that they are not intercessors. Mm-hmm. So they do not have the intercessor keyword anywhere, but they do have plasma incinerators.
Yeah.
So is that what they mean?
Yeah, which I mean, like, we know rules is intended. We know what they're trying to do here, but rules is written, like,
they're not there.
Yeah.
The next question is, intercessors with heavy bolt pistols, do they mean blade guard?
That's what I thought at first, and I was like super stoked, but then I realized that they actually mean assault intercessors. But once again, that's not 100% clear, is it?
No, not at all.
And honestly, a 10-man kill team of 5 intercessors, 4 blade guard, and an outrider would be a terrible kill team anyway.
It would, but
and you can't combat squad them now, so
yes, true. But again, I know
in 9th that drove Fred Portman crazy because he wanted blade guard
heavy bolt pistols.
It's true. And they are modeled in effectively fancy intercessor tacticus armor, but they have a storm shield. So like that's an excellent question. And like I said, when I first read this, I'm like, intercessor with a heavy bolt pistol, is that a blade guard? And then I realized they probably mean an assault intercessor. So there's some weird stuff in here. To get this fully fleshed out, we're going to need to ask some questions. But I wanted to point this out just because like one of these is really funny, like a strength 2 flamer, and the other ones are just weird. So
Okay, yeah. So what you have to do is you have to look at the second page where it says every kill team intercessor with heavy bolt pistol is equipped with heavy bolt pistol, Astartes chainsword. So that is telling you that it is.
an assault intercessor, yeah.
It's a yeah.
It's just weird to me because they could have just said that. Like they could have just said, 0 to 4 kill team Hellblasters, 0 to 4, right? But they didn't. They did it this other way. So
Right, which
yeah,
is going to allow for certain things to be answered. Yeah, I wish they would have just said what they wanted, but basically what they're saying is they lose any unit abilities that they have.
yes, yeah.
So if the unit has an ability built into it,
Oh, I
they
see.
don't have that anymore.
So like you don't get total annihilation or obliteration with
The
eradicators.
eradicators.
Oh,
Right.
That's okay. It's a very weird way to say that when you could just say like the kill team loses all special abilities which are replaced by the one on this data sheet or something.
Right.
Instead they do
it
it
would have
this
been
way.
much easier, yeah, to just say eradicators or the kill team eradicators lose their special ability.
Yeah, so Damn Legion is asking, we can't take Desolators or Infernus in the Fortis kill team. No.
No,
That
we
is
cannot.
no, that's not. Desolators are a heavy weapon choice, and they're gonna stay that way.
Desolators,
Apparently,
yeah, they
apparently,
need to be in everybody's army. Desolators until they get FAQ'd are busted.
yeah, they're very good. So to wrap up a bit before we go to just straight up Q&A, the winners of this, and this list was collated by Jason and myself. We have special issue ammunition. Obviously amazing. All three of them are good in their own way. One is very situational. One is obviously about to be nerfed in some way, and then the other one is just solid. The Tome of Ectoclades, I think, is incredible. But now that we've been talking more, I realize how killy this army already is, and I don't know if you need a second one. But again, it depends on the points, right?
It does.
Watchmasters are absolutely fucking phenomenal, and you should have one in every single list. I don't know why you wouldn't, unless you're playing really fun, like, Beer Hammer. There's no reason to not bring a Watchhammer. They aren't even epic heroes. They're amazing. Long Vigil Weapons, also incredible. Veteran Bikers, very, very good. I think you're going to see a squad or two in most lists just to at least have a OC threat running around the board, because 3 of those take an objective off of a non-battle line 5-man. And then the Corvus, which Snigs here put depending on the points in parentheses, but I think that's just generally stated in total. So
the only thing left off of here is the Thief of Secrets.
Yes,
that's an auto take.
That seems very, very good. Like, you kill a Hormigaunt and you're just twice as good for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
That seems very
100%.
One guardsman and now you're just incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, now you're taking down tanks.
Let's go to the losers here. Rest in peace, the Spectrus kill team. All the cool stuff that made them really, really interesting in 9th was effectively replaced with one kill team ability that gives them the teleportarium strat effectively for free every turn. They lost being troops, so they aren't battle line. They lose all their special abilities, including Omni Scramblers, Suppression, Terror Troops, the Incursor +1 to hit, Ignore Cover. They lost all that stuff. So there is, as far as I can tell right now, and maybe I'm just missing something, I will probably never run a Spectre's kill team in 10th edition unless they are changed. I will bring Infiltrators, I will bring Incursors, I will not bring Spectre's kill teams.
100% agree on that.
Yeah, it's sad. I loved them. I love to bring Las Fusel Eliminators. I love to do the sneaky peeky stuff. In 9th, that's all gone now. Boo. Combat swatting is gone. That is a little sad to me. That mostly affects my Grey Knights more than my Deathwatch, I think. But boo. And also because kill teams are not battle line, we can only bring 3 kill teams. Or 3 of each of the types of kill teams, I guess, now that I'm thinking about it, in our lists. So that's actually not as big of a problem as I thought it would be, so never mind. And then I just want to reiterate again, Hellfire rounds and the way that they synergize with Devastating Wounds will be nerfed. There's no way this won't be. Do not go out and buy a bunch of assault cannons just to do this, unless you want to. I mean, like, it's your money,
Yeah.
but I think by the time you get them, model them, paint them, it'll probably be nerfed, so don't rely on that.
Definitely.
And that's it. That is our Deathwatch Index review. Snigs and I are going to stay on and take your questions. We're back on the interview screen now, Snig, so don't take your shirt off. Or do. I mean, we can start a Deathwatch OnlyFans, I guess, but yeah, so drop them, guys. What are your comments? What are your questions? What are your ideas? What are your thoughts, fears, hopes, dreams? What did you have for dinner?
We had shish kebabs for dinner. They were delicious.
Nice. I had some leftover chicken peanut curry that I made the other day.
That sounds better.
And I am having an IPA. But the last time I showed a drink on screen, I lost my monetization. Ah, oh, no. Snigs, you just cost me like $1.50. What's wrong with you?
I had the label covered. I only showed the side.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a soda. YouTube.
Yes. It's a soda.
It's a soda.
I'll be back with another soda. I can still hear everybody though.
What do we got? Don't lose. Yeah, no, I mean, I am monetized, but like, guys, I make like $8 a month on this channel. This is not like paying my bills or anything. Let's be honest here. I do this because I like it, not because it's particularly lucrative. It feels really bad that kill team vets lose 1 OC when in a Proteus kill team versus just running them as a vet team. Yeah, I mean, I really like that about Deathwatch, that the fact that you had like a biker and a Vanguard vet and 3 Terminators and 5 normal guys in there. Like, I really like that, and it's sad to see that we lost NOC. Thematically, I kind of understand it though, because like kill teams don't hold ground. You know, they are specialists that are thrown in to be shock troops, destroy something and get the hell out of there. Like, they're not, you know, but Deathwatch Veterans are now our standard like battle line troop, which are they are so much better than like normal intercessors. Holy moly, they are way better. I hope they're not 27 points apiece like they were at the end of 9th.
Now, someone just brought up the Thief of Secrets on Judge Judy.
Yeah,
that's not a bad combo.
Fight last or fight first now?
Judge Judy is always fight first now.
Yeah.
But he does get +1 attacks if he destroys an enemy model. So then he would get +2 strength and the +2 damage. So he'd be damage 4. Plus he'd be AP 4, strength 9. Not a bad call.
Not bad.
Again, the Thief of Secrets is in your army. It doesn't matter what it's on. It is in your army. Judge Judy is not a bad call for that. And the problem is Judge Judy cannot be in most of the squads that are in the Deathwatch Index, but you could bring, say, a Blade Guard squad with Judge Judy with the Thief. That's not a bad combo.
No, and you can get them out of a land raider now with assault ramps if you want to get real spicy.
Yeah, exactly. If you really do want to get pretty intense. That'd be a massive melee squad.
Jakar buff only works on killing a character? What's their...
Eh, who cares? You don't
Oh,
care
they're
about that anyone.
like their buff, but their fight
Yeah, but
first thing is always on. So
their fight first is always on, and the key gives them +2 strength, AP, and damage. If you do manage to catch a character, which you can, because if you go into not Furry, not Wrath of the Furies, what is it called? I'm dying.
Furor,
I'm dying here.
Furor. So I have the
I'm scrolling through the wrong
data
document,
sheet.
that's
Oh
why.
no. Oh, it's all messed up on my screen. Oh,
If
boo.
you are in Purgatus,
Oh, I got you.
Purgatory.
Let me see
If you're
I
in
can fix
Purgatory,
this. Nope.
if you're in Purgatory Tactics and Judge Judy charges in, he could have
There we go.
precision attacks and still kill the character from a squad. So with the Thief of Secrets, it could be good.
Oh my gosh,
So-
yeah. No, you're right. So he'd get 2 more attacks from Thief of Secrets, and then if he kills a character, he gets 1 more attack for the rest of the game. So he'd have 9 attacks, you said?
I don't think Thief of Secrets gives attacks, does it?
I thought it gave 2 attacks to
Strength,
AP. Oh, it's strength, not attacks. Right. Okay.
Strength, damage, and armor pen. Are
So
all
he gets
increased by
6 attacks, strength 9, minus 4 damage.
Yeah, Brandon. But what we're saying is that you go into the Purgatory tactic, and that gives you precision hits. So the Judicar could end up putting hits on the character with the ways the rules are currently written. That means that once an attack is placed on the character, all the remaining attacks have to be placed on the character. So if he rolls
Fancy.
1-6, everything goes to the character. If he kills the character, he then gets +2 strength, +2 AP, +2 damage, and +1 attack.
And then assuming he just keeps killing characters every round, he gets 1 more attack every turn, which is unlikely, but technically possible. So.
Yeah, you could literally charge him around the board, and as long as a Blade Guard kept him alive, he could probably butcher half an army.
That's pretty crazy. So he can be added to a Stern Guard veteran squad. He's kind of wasted there, but you could. Yeah, he'd be much better in a Blade Guard squad.
100%.
What else are we looking at in here? So obviously we don't have points, but my general thought here is I'll run for troops in a 9th edition context. For my battle line, I'd probably run a squad or 2 of infiltrators for the Omni Scramblers. I like my kill teams, so I'm going to play with those for a bit. Maybe I'll get bludgeoned across the head by losing too many times, and I'll realize I just need to bring Deathwatch Veterans.
Don't forget scouts.
Scouts we can't use.
No. The infiltrators, I believe, have the scout keyword, don't they?
I think so. I think all the Phobos stuff did.
I'm pretty sure they have the scout keyword, or they have the infiltrate keyword.
I'm just
pretty
looking.
Sure it's scout though.
So many Phobos.
There's so much stuff.
Infiltrator squad. Here we go. They do not. They don't have scout. They do have the Felix Gauntlet or Helix Gauntlet for a feel no pain. So Helix plus feel no pain is Felix. Oh wow! And each time the bearers I see. Each time you target the bearer's unit of the comms array with the stratagem, you can potentially get 1 CP back, but you're probably not going to be using a lot of strats on your infiltrators. Just with all the rapid ingress, that's available to everybody with Grey Knights out there who will just be teleporting everywhere. I think 2 5-mans of infiltrators will probably be almost required, or you're just going to be dealing with dudes in your backfield all game long, and you're going to hate that. So we're going to see a
100%.
lot of infiltrators. Incursors, I think, are really neat tech choice right now because of their new multi-spectrum array. If they hit anything, anytime another Adeptus Astartes unit makes an attack on what they hit, they get +1 to hit. So they're kind of like tagging them with a marker light or something, like a
Yep.
like a laser designator or whatever. So I think Incursors are good. They get Scout, which is fantastic for like, we're gonna have one mission where like there's an objective just out of reach of the of the deployment zone line, so these guys will let you grab that. And then Haywire Mine is great as an anti-charge thing, so like it says once per battle at the start of any phase, you may blow them up, and they do a bunch of extra mortal wounds if it's a vehicle. So I think probably 1 unit of Incursors. Then I'll throw in a couple Proteus kill teams, maybe 1 Indom kill team, and then I'll have various vehicles. I'm not sure if I'll go with like the new Missile Dreads or the Brutalis Dreads, and I'll have a Corvus probably. Like, this is my general idea of a list. Obviously we have no points, so, but I do like the idea of Blade Guard with the Judiciary too.
The infiltrator squads have infiltrate, which, in all honesty, I think I would rather have the Incursor squad for that multi-spectrum ability.
Mm-hmm.
And they still have scouts, so you can get them up in the middle if you need to. So yeah, I think I would rather go. I don't know. Infiltrate's going to be big, and the 12-inch bubble of no get away from me.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is gonna be a weird addition. A lot of things are gonna. I'm gonna say it. A lot of things are gonna depend on the points.
But isn't this cool that we are having this conversation at all?
Yeah.
Like, this really did shake up the meta. Like, just having this discussion of like, well, okay, am I bringing infiltrators? Or am I bringing incursors? Or am I bringing, Deathwatch veterans? Or that's neat that you're having to actually think this out versus, 9th edition, especially in the AOR where you could only bring kill teams. Like, you're just, yeah, I'll grab a Spectre's kill team. I'll combat squad them. I'll line them up, and they'll just hold my whole backfield with a giant deny bubble.
Yeah, no, that's gonna be great. Lex, that's.
What do you think about Flamers being able to use special issue ammo?
It is a ranged weapon, so it'd be anti-infantry 2+. Yes.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
What's an Infernus unit look like? Here, let me pull this up.
Infernus was gonna probably be in my units choices anyway because of Overwatch. And then to have an Infernus
Here
unit,
it is. It's up on my page now. So the Pyre Blaster is a normal flamer, but it's actually strength 5. So it's D6 attack, strength 5, no AP, 1 damage. And then
wounds on 2s.
Yes, and purge the purge the foe also in if you attack an infantry unit, they have to immediately make a battle shock test if they're attacked by this. So Infernus squads could just knock your opponent off of objectives, even if they're still technically on it. They won't hold it.
Yeah, and
technically,
I mean,
if they fail their battle shock test, obviously.
Yeah, and 100% Lex. The Kraken rounds making them AP1 and 18 inches. That's
no. Oh yes.
Yeah, that's
18 inches. Yeah.
That's money.
Yeah.
That's going in my list.
Thanks, Lex. Thanks, Levi. You've made us even more bullshit than we were before.
Because apparently we have special Kraken napalm.
Yep.
It's just better.
I don't know if you're a big lore guy, but have you read any of the Deathwatch books? Most of them are actually pretty decent. Like, versus the Grey Knight books where it's a 50-50 shot whether it's good or not.
I have two young boys that are currently in high school. So I find most of my reading time is spent reading their books because I have to be able to quiz them for their homework to make sure that they actually read their books.
I see.
So I read a bunch of garbage that I don't want to read instead of stuff that I would like to read.
That's an incredible point, Levi, with the 18-inch -1 AP, 1 damage, battle shock causing flamers. Strength 5 in this case, because that's their default. Also, I got my Leviathan box. I'm sharing with a friend of mine who's playing Nids. I got my Leviathan box. So I will definitely have some Infernus guys around somewhere. And here's where Jason gets to pull out his box and show that he's already. Well, hold on, phrasing.
I'm
he's gonna show us. Oh, you're not
allowed to show that I already have the box.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean, it would be against policy for me to show that I already have the box.
Nice.
But yes, I already have the box.
Look at you. What else? What other cool combos are out there? Still think Assault's intercessors are garbage. Oh, we should talk about other characters that aren't Deathwatch characters, like librarians and stuff, right? Don't they give 4-up invols in a lot of cases to an entire unit?
There's a lot of different things. This is going to be the unfortunate part about 10th edition is that we really need to read what can be placed where. A lot of characters have like really unique unit abilities, and a lot of characters have a lot of like I can only go with these units.
Yeah.
So to be able to do that and to recognize what they can and can't do is going to really cause some game issues like at the beginning. So what you're going to find is at the beginning of the edition, you're going to find characters that are with units that they can't be with because players
didn't read it.
Well, they didn't read it, or they made a mistake, or they're still thinking of previous editions. GW hit one of their largest player bases ever in 9th edition. So with all the people that came into the game, this edition change for people that have been playing since the beginning of time. I mean, I've been playing since 1st edition. I think you said you've been playing since 8th.
The ass end of 8th. Like I think 9th was coming out like a month after I played my very first game. So but it's kind of like being in this spot now.
Yeah, but that's the difference is that you've at least seen this once.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people started in 9th, and 9th was truly a really great edition until the end. It kind of fell apart. So to do this change, if you didn't go through the 7th, 8th index change before, you're not used to what's happening right now. And this is going to be a lot of reading. This is going to be a lot of data crunching. This is going to be a lot of looking at things that you can do.
Yeah.
Yes, Aaron, the psychic phase is gone. There is no psychic phase. There is only abilities and psychic shooting. There does seem to be, at least for now, no specific librarians for Deathwatch. That may be a thing that comes in the codex because they are talking about having all the codexes. But
yeah, I do want to quickly point out, like, remember the indexes are supposed to be like a building block, actually a better point is a stepping stone to get us into the 10th ed rules, to get us to our codex. So like these are not the rules your army will have throughout the entire edition. That's 100% not true. It is an excellent viewpoint into what you might get, but that's why they also specifically call out, like, what is it? It's a Black Talon task force is what the Deathwatch stuff is. Like, that'll be one choice you'll be able to make, but once the codex hit, or our supplement, or whatever it's called, they'll probably have another type of task force in there, and we'll be able to choose. Are we going to run the index one, or are we going to run this new one?
Well, the indexes will go away as the codexes come out.
Oh, okay. Well,
And
if there are, if there are multiple choices,
as the codex comes out, if there is, like, let's say there's some problems with the original task force, like they notice some issues, they will then advance that into the codex and be like, hey, we fixed all of these problems. So it'll be good to see.
Yeah.
For those of you who didn't play in 7th was a nightmare at the end. It was an absolute dumpster fire of D weapons, stomp attacks, and invisible units. It was just horrible. And then when the 8th edition indexes came out, it did a complete reset on the game. Like, nothing was the same. The good news is from 9th to 10th, most of the game is the same. Most.
Yeah.
But there is some changes. There is some minor changes, and it is a good thing. A lot of the changes, like the USRs are back. Thank God. I'm so happy that USRs are back.
Like
Go
Deep Strike, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because everybody called it Deep Strike. It didn't matter if it was called like Come from Shadows or whatever in the hell it was called for any other unit. It was always Deep Strike, no matter what we called it. So now Deep Strike has one rule, and it works that way for everyone. Feel No Pain, same thing. That was the big one.
Yep.
Feel No Pain was one of the biggest problems in 9th edition because it was worded differently for like 4 different codexes.
Yep. Is it disgustingly resilient? Is it this other thing? Like, what is it called? But it was all effectively the exact same thing. Just for anybody listening, USR is Universal Special Rule. So instead of, again, all of these names for the same thing, and then slightly different wording for all those things, so they actually interact with the game differently, they just say, like, Deep Strike now.
Damned bring up the good point. I don't remember seeing a black
shield. There isn't. I was going to comment on that once you were done. I also want to talk about Levi's point about losing, or generic Space Marines can't join kill teams. That's not 100% true, because each kill team actually says on there what you can join. So,
yeah, because you can bring like Hellblasters in the one.
Yeah.
They're not technically Hellblasters, but they are Hellblasters.
Yeah. So it'll say, like, for the Terminators, so for the Deathwatch of Terminators, it says if a character from your army with the leader ability can attach to a Terminator squad, it can be attached to this unit, and it's the same with all of the kill teams too. Yeah.
That's weird.
So for the Proteus kill team, it's anybody who can go to a Vanvet squad. For the Fortis, it's anybody that can go to an Intercessor squad, and for the Indom, it's anybody that can go to probably a heavy Intercessor squad.
Where did my black shield
I guess go? The Indom doesn't get... Interesting. The Indom doesn't get anybody to... Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, here it is. So it is heavy Intercessor. So yes and no. It's not as much as otherwise, but it is still there. Yeah. So, like, one of the things I saw some folks on the Deathwatch Discord talking about was an Indomitor kill team with the new Biologist Apothecary on there. Because the Biologist buffs damage instead of healing. Oh my god.
Really?
I thought it gave them something. I can't remember.
You gave who something?
Hold on. I'm trying to find the Biologist data sheet now, but I can't spell these made up words. So there it is. Apothecary Biologist. So they give, while it's leading a unit, weapons equipped by this unit have the lethal hits abilities. So you could give Indom kill team, the sustained hits from the mission tactic, and they'll also get lethal hits from the biologist. And then if they destroy a enemy unit as the result of a melee attack until the end of battle, this model specifically has an objective control characteristic of 9, which brings that unit theoretically from, what, 11 models, so 10, 13 to 19.
I think the heavy intercessors are battle line. I think they're 2 each.
They are, but because the biologist can be attached to a heavy intercessor squad, they can also go into an Indomitor kill team. So there's some play there. So the biologist is the apothecary that makes you kill better, where the apothecary helps you heal, right? This is the, like, kill more better guy.
The kill more better healer?
Yeah, he's the kill more better here. Kill more better healer. Of course, he sucks at range and in combat, but he makes everybody else better, I guess.
Well, I mean, let's just be honest. These guys with leader are absolutely horrible, because once their squad is dead,
has leader.
I understand that, but
I know,
once their squad is dead, they're useless. They basically just walk around and don't do anything.
Because look out, Sarah's gone, so.
Unless you have lone operative, that is correct.
Yep. So, also, I think this is a badass model, though. The biologist is an awesome model. Yeah, the black shield is gone. If you have them modeled, they're just normal Deathwatch veterans now. This edition has made me very glad that I have painstakingly magnetized every arm of every model I have in my entire Deathwatch army. Except most of my Primaris stuff, because, like, my Blade Guard, it's not like they're gonna get a different loadout, so.
No, Blade Guarder.
But, like, all my Firstborn, magnets.
Blade Guard are amazing. Everybody should run Blade Guard. Okay, probably not.
I don't know. So that's actually a great point. So with shooting being so seemingly so strong this edition, at least from what I've seen so far, and granted I've not read every index, I've not read every preview, like, ain't nobody got time for that. This isn't their full-time job. Like, do you think melee, like, I look at these kill teams and I look at, like, Blood Angels. It's like, are they even gonna get, like, do they have Overwatch ignoring abilities? Like, are they even gonna be able to get up the board before I just mulch them? They're gonna have to be real careful with movement, you know?
You got to remember, there's a couple problems with this. First off, Overwatch requires you to have line of sight. You're still going to run into those problems where people are charging you through walls and things like that. So your Overwatch is not going to be as effective as you think it is. What is going to be effective is Overwatch when your opponent ends their movement where you can see them. That's going to be a bigger play. Melee is still going to be insanely powerful. But with the new terrain, I feel that the way the new terrain is set up, melee armies are still going to come up on top. So you're going to have to be prepared for that. The firing lanes for the new terrain is really bad. Like, there are so few firing lanes. So I don't think that the shooty armies are going to immediately come out as winning. But once people figure out the firing lanes for those maps, it will be a different story. But melee armies may come out on top initially.
Do you think we're going to see, like, player plays stick around, or do you think the new Games Workshop terrain rules are actually... And I realize you probably haven't even played a game of a 10th yet, but, you know, or maybe you have with the stock Space Marine rules, but, like, do you think the new terrain rules are pretty good?
The new terrain rules are interesting. I do not plan to see at a GW event. I do not plan to see player place terrain.
No, they didn't.
m-
Didn't all through ninth. Like you had to use their terrain, right?
yeah. Mike Brandt is he was the head of the playtesters before we all got fired. And he was also he's the guy who ran Nova. He's a really good guy.
Nice dude.
He
Yep.
he is a really nice dude. He runs a really great event, or at least did with Nova. And now that um he's in charge of like all of GW's events in North America. Um, he has gone to that set terrain, so that it is the set style of terrain every single round, whether it be, it is mission dependent, but usually it's, depending on how things work out, but it is set. It is in those places. So you're going to have to learn how to play with those firing lines, learn where the line of sights can be drawn and where they cannot. So I don't expect for 10th edition, at least at GW events, for you to see player place terrain. Now, however, for the rest of the community, LVO, BAO, definitely your local RTTs, until they get their terrain up to date, which will probably take longer than they would like it to, you'll probably still see player place terrain.
Yeah. I know out here in the Pacific Northwest, if you go to any of the RTTs or any of the tournaments at all, majors, GTs, whatever, we all use player placed out here. They're all run by like 2 to 3 guys, and they all agreed that they want to use player place. So that's what we get. And I'm not complaining, by the way. I'm just saying what it is.
The problem with player placed is that player placed terrain always benefits the stronger player.
Yep.
So if you go to an event that is player placed and you are a mid-table or low-table player, you can lose the game before the game even started.
Yep.
Player placed terrain is horrible if you're a low-table player. And I'm really sorry to say that, but somebody who knows what they're doing is going to go to that table and they're going to know where they want every piece of terrain, and they're going to know why they want it there. Whereas if you're a newer player or a less experienced player, you're going to go to that table and you're going to see, oh, I get 4 pieces of terrain. I'll just put one here because I think that's where I want it.
Yep.
And that's not going to win you a game, because the guy on the other side of the table is already like, well, this one's going to be my staging point for my melee units. This one's going to cause me to have line of fire and shooting lanes here, here, and here. This one's going to do this. This one's going to do that. And that's the difference.
Yep.
A player placed terrain environment will always favor the better players.
No, I agree. It adds like there's so many different layers of meta, of onion, if you will, to this game. That's why I like it, is like there's always something to learn, right? You can spend, you can be like Art of War and this is your job and you still don't know everything about the game. You're being told like you're learning constantly. Or you can be like me where this is a fun hobby and you like to talk about it on the internet. And you still are learning things all the time. And player placed terrain is a player created another layer of that meta, of that
Yes.
onion, where you have to learn another like whole game within the game, which is
Exactly,
interesting.
yes.
If you want to learn that. If you don't want to learn that, that's that's bad. Like I lost probably my first 10 games in 40K, and Levi was there for a lot of them because of bad deployment. Also because we weren't using enough terrain. So like shooting armies just overwhelmed like anyone else, right? Like there's a lot of this game to learn.
Well, and you're going to see that. And there's a difference between like your local RTTs, your local GTs, your big events, your GW events. And then if you ever get into the point where you're playing against like people from Europe, they have a completely different terrain set than we do. And they have a different mindset on terrain. And even the WTC That is a team championship for the world.
Mhm.
That is 8 players. They run 2 light tables, and those light tables are what sometimes certain other places consider medium terrain tables or even heavy terrain. And they run 2 heavy tables, and those heavy tables are dense.
Yep.
So, it all depends on your local area. It all depends on the event you're going to. You have to support your local stores. I hate to do a call out like this, but your local stores are the ones that are supplying the terrain. They're supplying that place to play. You have to support them so they can get those things in the store for you, and your events can be a quality event instead of ending up on Planet Bowling Ball and having a shooting,
Yeah. Agreed. 100%. Yeah.
It's not taken away from the guys that do 3D printing. I 3D print. I 3D print a lot of my bases. I 3D print some models when I can't find them, but I still support my local store. My local store hosts I run a really big event every year, the Glass City GT. We usually get about 100 people for that, and they have been buying new terrain to get the terrain up to date, to get it better. If people were not supporting the store, they couldn't buy that new terrain. And now with a new edition, I'm afraid I may have to go tell them to buy more.
More terrain. Stuff that breaks in half,
Yeah.
apparently. I Like Games says, is Deathwatch going to be hard to pilot for a new player or somebody that doesn't like a lot of options in one datasheet? So, I got good news. There are fewer options on the datasheet than there were. Um, I, I don't know if, I don't know where Deathwatch is going to sit in terms of complexity because we haven't seen all the indexes yet, indices. Um, but I know in ninth, I would definitely say do not play this as a new player unless you are just dead set on it. If you love the lore, if you love the models, go for it. But like, it was a learning cliff, not a learning curve. Too
Yeah.
many choices to
100%.
make in every command phase, all this stuff. A lot of those have been removed. So go for it. I think Deathwatch is fucking awesome. I have a whole channel about it. Might be the wrong
Um,
guy to ask.
so I'll take a little bit of a different step on this. I think Marines is going to be, unfortunately, hopefully no one from GW is watching this. I think Marines is going to be not your new player choice. There are 252 pages of units in the base Marine book and another 30 for Deathwatch. So you're looking at almost 300 pages of units that you can use, and they all have a
Yeah,
different synergy. I'm going to
that's a good
say
point.
go with something a little bit less intense.
Play
Um,
Necrons.
Necrons are supposed to be really good this
There are
edition. I've heard some really good rumors.
there are far fewer data sheets, is what I'm saying. Like there are fewer choices to make.
The problem is though, if you like the Marines and you like the models,
Yeah,
definitely play them. Definitely play them because Marines are going to be they are your middle line. You are most likely going to win and lose a couple of games each way with Marines. You'll be okay with Marines. It's not like you're playing GSC out of the gate. If you're a new player and you wanted to play GSC, I'm sorry. I'll see you in a year when you're good because you will just not win a game out of the gate with GSC. You will probably go months before you win a game. Marines is a different story. You can win out of the gate with Marines. They are good on their own. So
yeah.
I
I
I think
can
it's a
see that.
lot.
Yeah.
I
The
I think it's a lot, but I think you could do it.
the kill team building rules, like, no, I'm agreeing with you. Like, I think a new player who loves Deathwatch should play it.
Hmm.
There are a lot of options to choose from, as you said. The character joining stuff is awkward now. because, you know, a librarian in Phobos armor can only join a unit that also has Phobos armor. Like, that's another thing that you have to learn. But in ninth, especially with the AOR, like, the amount of decisions you had to make every command phase was already ridiculous. You had to choose a tactic. You had to choose a chapter, right? You had to, then like which unit do you not want to be in that chapter that's going to get Brotherhood of Veterans? Like, that's just your command phase. And then you have a chaplain, probably, like all that stuff thankfully is gone. Like, yeah. So 10th is already more simple in that way, at least when it comes to Deathwatch specifically. So I think Deathwatch is more approachable in 10th than they were in 9th, and that was my overall point.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. Duan Angus's point here about getting the Corvus transport rule wrong, I have it up on the screen right now. It says this model is a transport capacity of 12 Adeptus Astartes infantry models or 1 kill team unit. Full stop. Then it explains that if it's a jump pack, blah, 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 it takes up X amount of space.
Yes.
So it does say 1 kill team. So if you count it all up and your kill team would be 15 models or 15 spaces, like in 9th, you couldn't put it in the Corvus. That rule now changes that, so that 15 space unit can just go in the Corvus now. Up it goes.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
One thing I want to notice, which is really weird and is going to have your opponents asking you questions, is if you go to the very top of the Deathwatch Army rules, okay, not the very top, the second page, it explains, oh no, it is the first page. It explains here that when loading into a normal transport, so specifically not the Corvus, your kill team, specifically kill team, so your Deathwatch Terminators still are the normal size, but your kill team Terminators, Outriders, and Jump Pack all count as 2 spaces, regardless of how big they would usually be. So if a biker would usually be 2 spaces, if it's in a kill team, and it goes into a Rhino, it is 2 spaces. And this special rule right here explains that specifically. So there is some weird transport stuff with Deathwatch in particular. So a normal biker is 3 spaces. A Deathwatch kill team biker is 2 spaces, but only in a Deathwatch army going into a Deathwatch transport. And it doesn't matter what its size is going into a Corvus, as long as it's in a kill team, the whole kill team can go in there. What's funny is because of that rule, and it says or, but like if that were the only rule, if you had 1 model left in a kill team and you put it in the Corvus, theoretically it's now full. Luckily it says or, but you see what I'm getting at here. Is that would be very, very funny if it got completely stuck with like 1 Terminator because he's the last guy left. So I don't think we're getting it wrong, but maybe I missed something. That does happen. I'm not that good at this. I just happen to have a microphone and a YouTube video, and you guys all like to listen to me for some reason.
Yeah, cool things to say.
Sometimes. Different answers, but noted. 2 years into, yep. 2 years into building my Deathwatch. I'm just gonna figure it out. That's a great attitude, especially if you've been hobbying it the way you want to. Good news, a lot of those decisions don't matter anymore. If you have 3 guys with maces, they all just have long vigil melee weapons. Doesn't matter.
The only problem with what you're doing, Aaron, is that just figuring it out does eventually lead to you having the same problem I have, and that is about 10 to 15,000 points of Marines sitting on a shelf.
That's a good starter army, right? 10 to 15,000. That's fine. What could go wrong?
Yeah. Who knows? It depends on the points.
Nice. Drink. All right, I'm gonna give everybody like 10 more minutes total. Then I'm gonna call this done. That'll be about 2.5 hours, which is a lot of Deathwatch content. Especially in this day and age where I guess for this to get like shoved to the top of the search results. I'm actually supposed to make instead of 100 6-minute shorts instead of one long video. But you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Yes, so you can take 5 veterans, 2 bikes. So the 2 bikes alone are 6. The 5 veterans makes it 11. The 3 terminators would bring that up to 17, which is more than 12. Yes, that whole kill team could go into the Corvus with its brand new rule. That's new in 10th. That did not exist in 9th.
Correct.
So yeah, it'll just up it goes, which makes a lot of sense. Like, again, if you've read the books, like the novels, they fly the Corvée a lot of the time, or a Storm Raven, but a Corvus, and then they're all able to fit in there no problem. So. Oh, interesting. So this model can be equipped. So the Auspex Array and the Infernum Halo launcher on the Corvus Blackstar will probably cost points. Same with the Hurricane Bolter. I thought from the top here that was all built in, but it's definitely not.
So it's going to depend on the points.
Yep. Right? But I mean, the Auspex Array just ignoring cover all the time, which is what it did in 9th, was worth the 10 points or whatever.
Oh, definitely.
Aaron, we don't know yet. It could be 3 points. It could be 0 points. It could be included. We don't know. But it does say can be equipped, which to me means it's going to cost some amount of points. So 8K. Oh, God. I don't even want to count up what mine is. I have an Astraeus as part of mine. So that's already like, what, 500 points by itself?
I think it's like
550. Ooh, I should. Oh, is it 700? Oh, man.
I also have an Astraeus.
What's the... Oh no, I'm not gonna look. What? How do you spell?
I don't think the Astraeus is in the.
How do you spell Astraeus? Oh, because it's a Forge World model, huh?
Yeah, I don't think it's in the base rules. However, the Hammerfall bunker is, which if you don't own one, you need to buy one before it gets FAQ'd.
Really? So for Christmas 2 years ago, my father bought me one, and I returned it to the Games Workshop store because my dad, awesome guy, he really went out of his way, like props. He went to the store. He knew I played Deathwatch. He asked the guy like, "What can I buy him?" And the guy said, "You should buy him a Hammerfall bunker." And at the time, the Hammerfall bunker was terrible, so I bought another Redemptor instead. Now it's changed, and I've heard it's good now.
Have you read the rules?
I just brought it up on the stream. So let's see.
Read the rules.
Fortification. Well, an enemy unit is only within engagement range of one or more. No, not that one.
Defensive array on the left.
Oh, each time an enemy unit is set up or ends a move within a range, it can shoot as if it were your shooting phase. Bear can shoot 4 times this way. So you can shoot all your shit in your opponent's movement phase 4 times.
4 times.
Amazing.
Yeah, so if you don't own a Hammerfall bunker, you probably will in like 2 seconds.
God damn. This...
It's dumb.
I don't want to buy fortifications.
If you don't own a Hammerfall, you need to own a Hammerfall until they FAQ it, because right now it's busted and it'll probably win you tournaments by itself. 4 times.
Can you bring more than one? You can only bring one fortification, right?
I'm having problems understanding the army building.
The army building rules just says 3 of any one model.
Right.
You want 3 Hammerfall bunkers?
I kind of do, yeah. But I don't understand the build, the how to build an army yet. I really don't.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
I mean, I do, I kind of do, but I don't know. It kind of
Oh.
hurts my brain every time I read it.
Yeah. I know they're trying to make it really open and easy, but at the same time, they actually made it like almost worse. So, you actually have a hammerfall, and it's decorated in different weapons and paths for different chapters. That's awesome. That's the kind of stuff that's really cool about painting this army.
That
And
is.
then Damned Legion is asking, how do you feel about Deathwatch losing all LOW LOW?
I think he means Lord of War. If he does mean Lord of War,
Oh, yeah.
I'm
So like the Astraeus.
yeah, I'm not sure they lost any Lord of War options. In fact, they may be able to bring knights. There is a conversation being had currently about Imperial agents still being a thing.
Mhm.
Apparently, one of the reveals talked about it.
Yeah.
So you may be able to bring Deathwatch and a knight.
So Imperial Agents, they showed the preview, and it was only it was the normal stuff, like it was a Vindicare or a Calexis, or you could bring Inquisitor. I didn't see anything about knights, but maybe they'll still allow allies. Um, I like games is saying all this talk is having me rethink something. I was gonna trade Space Hulk game and some Turmies, or for some Turmies.
I like games. What I would do is I would keep the Space Hulk game, especially the Terminators. And if you're gonna play Deathwatch, what I would do is I would find either a company that does 3D printing or a local store that does bits,
Mhm.
and get yourself some assault cannons because you are probably gonna run 3. Um,
Oh,
Now,
game
in
and minis.
saying
Got
that,
it.
yeah. Um, in saying that, however, we don't really know. And the Leviathan pre-order, as Aaron is talking about, does come with 5 Terminators, including one with an assault cannon. So, I mean, that's going to be a good buy for Deathwatch. The Infernus Marines are a good buy. There's a ton of Terminator characters. The new
Yep.
Dreadnought's kind of crap.
Is it?
Unfortunately, its data sheet is garbage.
Is it?
Uh, yeah,
Is it? That's a
yeah, it
pretty
is.
good data sheet to me.
Yeah,
Twin linked +1 to hit if
who
it's above half strength. Like,
if you are not running a Redemptor, the Redemptors are just better. All the Redemptor stuff is just
because the
better.
-1 damage, or what?
And because of the devastating wounds on all the onslaught weapons.
Oh, I see. I don't
The
know.
devast
It's a total meme build, but I want to do a build where it's like it's Deathwatch with like 9 dreadnoughts, just three Redemptors, 3 Brutalis, and 3 of the Blastolis or whatever it's called.
the
Um, I don't even know
the
what that would cost. That's probably not all 2,000 points, but you know,
the
I think
Redemptors are
that'd be
so
funny.
good. The Redemptors are so good. Believe it or not, Redemptors, the Impulsors got better. The Repulsors, both versions of the Repulsors got better. The Land Raiders are amazing. T12, 16 wounds, OC5 for a Land Raider. Come on, like
Yeah.
you can't
So
even.
I have the Redemptor up on the screen now. So you're right. It
Yeah,
has the Onslaught Gatling gun is devastating wounds. The Macro Plasma is not. So
you're bringing
is this
you're
the edition where we switch out to the Onslaught Gatling gun?
yeah, you're gonna run both onslaughts. You're gonna run double onslaught.
So Onslaught and Heavy Onslaught?
Yep, 100%.
Glad I magnetized my Redemptors too, if that's the case. I didn't
Yeah,
paint my Onslaught guns, but I magnetized the whole model at least, thankfully.
yeah, you're gonna run double onslaught. That's 20 shots. If he's near a chaplain, you give him devastate, or it's Is it a chaplain? No, the chaplain already gives
The
devastating
chaplain's
wounds.
+1 to wound, but only if it's in your unit.
Forget which one. I forget how
But
to
you
do it. There,
can't attach anything to a vehicle.
I think you can attach the tech marines. Maybe it was a tech marine I was thinking of.
Oh, maybe.
I'm not gonna look for it right now, but yeah, there's the double onslaughts are just insane. Oath of the moment target, devastating wounds, 20 shots. It averages on its own like 4 to 5 mortal wounds plus a ton of just wounds.
So I'm not going to look at a bunch of the Tech Marine variants, but the Primaris one can only go into a Servitor, Assault Intercessor, or Intercessor squad. But while it is within 3 inches of a friendly Adeptus Astartes vehicle, it gains lone operative. So you're kind of attaching it to a unit at that point. And then in your command phase, you can select one friendly to heal it, 1d3, and then add 1 to the hit roll. So that's exactly the same as 9th. Oh, and that's cute. And then there's Vengeance of the Omnissiah. So if a Adeptus Astartes vehicle within 12 inches dies, for that until the end of the battle, the Tech Marine gets an attack characters of 7 on its axe instead of 4, because it's all mad that you killed its little stompy buddy.
Yep.
That's cute. It's like Platoon. No. Yeah, I think they're all that way. So they get the lone operative if they're within 3 inches. So they're kind of attached without being attached, which is really interesting.
Yeah. Lone operative is the way to go, by the way. If you can get lone operative on anything, it's great. But again, I don't know how many characters you're allowed to bring because I really don't understand the whole army creation. I really don't. And like I've read through it a few times. I'm still not exactly sure how to do it.
I love
And
that
we're
that's
gonna
the part that's tripping you up.
the Marine book literally has 40 pages of characters.
Yeah. The Marine book is fucking dumb, man. It like
there is more characters in the Marine book
yeah.
than the Deathwatch book.
Yeah. There are more characters in the Marine book than, like, if you add the entire GK Codex and the Harlequin Codex together.
Yeah, there's
that, like, I actually did start counting when I did my, like, what's the problem with Grey Knights video for 9th. I was explaining that, like, look, there's not a lot of design space just because we don't have very many data sheets. Unique data sheets, right? Like we have the Rhino and the Razorback and stuff. Sure, fine, whatever. But like unique ones. And I'm explaining, like, we have 11. I think it was 11. I'm like, we have 11 sheets. The only army that has fewer, I think, was Quinn's with like 9 or something, or 8. And I'm like, there's not a lot of design space there. And I actually counted out. I was like, Drukari has 40 something. You know, Eldari has like 50 something. Space Marines has 150 plus. I stopped counting because I stopped counting at 150. I was
no, it's insane. Like even Tau is I think like 30 or 40 data slates. The dwarfs, squats,
the Votan.
Yeah, they have like 20. Like when you look across other armies, Marines is the army if you want choices.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, there are too many. And if you make the bad ones or you make the wrong ones, you're just going to lose with the Marine Army every time.
And out of those 40 characters, 12 of them are lieutenants.
Yes.
Like 6 of which have no difference at all. I'm not talking about the one in Phobos armor that's very different than the one in like Tacticus armor. I mean, there's no difference at all. It's just 6 different models.
No, there's differences. Some of them are wearing green shoes, some are wearing blue.
Yep.
But more than that, it's what units they can go to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And so there is,
yeah.
yeah. But yeah, there is, a ton of stuff, and speaking of tons of stuff, and getting back on my fact that the Black Shield is missing, which I'm upset about. Also, heavy Hellblasters are missing.
Yeah. So our ass blasters, they've all been reduced to basically the rapid fire ones, kind of. Where
Yeah,
now they
except
no
for
longer have rapid fire, they just have 2 shots all the time.
but they also have heavy and assault as keywords.
Yeah.
So the heavy Hellblasters, which were better before, are now worse, and they're all rolled into one unit.
Well, I mean, it just gives you more flexibility is the idea. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you, but the idea is flexibility, right? So,
Well, the reason you brought the heavy Hellblasters before was because they were higher strength. You actually
yeah,
had a better chance
they were
of,
strength 9 or something, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, he better not be right.
You cannot put 12 Centurions in a Corvus because you can't add them to a kill team. Unless a Centurion only has one. Oh my god, you might be right. Because they didn't say a Centurion takes up 3. No, I thought they did in most of the transports. They said a Centurion takes up. It's because it's not on the Corvus sheet specifically. Yeah, this is another raw versus our rules is intended thing. That is hilarious though.
I'm 100%. I'm getting together with Brad later this week. We are.
That is amazing.
I'm putting 1,000,000 Centurions in a Corvus now.
Yeah. So back to Hellblasters. They got squished. Like, honest to God, I saw Hellblasters quite a bit when I was playing. I never saw a heavy one. And when I did, they were proxying it as either the rapid fire or the ass blasters.
That's hilarious. That you never saw one. I ran the heavies so many times. Of course, in my area, we have a lot of people that played knights, so the heavy Hellblasters were
nice.
good.
Yeah. No, I never saw a single one. I mean, I have 5 of them. I have 5 heavy Hellblasters. I've modeled and painted and everything. I've never. Well, I think I have them primed. I don't have them painted, but anyway.
I think I have 30 or 40 Hellblasters, and I think 20 of them are heavy. We had an RTT up here where we had, I think it was 16 players showed up for the RTT, and I think we had 6 or 7 knight players show up. It was horrible.
That's a lot of knights.
Yeah, like we have a lot of knight players up here in this area. We have a lot of guard, we have a lot of knights, we have a lot of like big model players up here.
Yes, the heavy guys are the ones with the backpacks. In fact, they're the ones that you see at the top of my screen right now as the artwork.
Yep.
Those are the heavy Hellblasters.
Yep. Yes, they are.
But yeah, again, I could see that. I mean, I think you and I were in one of our old videos, Jason. We were theory crafting running heavy Hellblasters instead because their range was longer and their strength was so much higher.
Yeah, it was. And I did take them to an RTT after we talked. But point wise, they were inefficient, so it kind of did depend on the points.
Yeah. Drink. Yes. So now they're all 24 inches, just like the assault ones. They're all 2 attacks, just like the rapid fire. If you were in rapid fire range, they're all the rapid fire strength instead of the assault strength because the assault was like 6 and 7, and these are 7 and 8. And the damage is like the assault ones.
Yeah.
Although, no, I think the rapid fire was also 1 and 2. The assault was 1 and 2, I know that. 3 if you're dangles. But the heavy just means if they don't move, they hit on 2s.
+1 to hit, correct.
Right, and the assault just means like if they advance, they can still shoot. So you get a little like they're more versatile now while being much less specialized, which is, you know, the opposite of versatile. So I don't know.
Correct.
I don't dislike it, and it also gives you modeling options. So
I prefer specialization.
but you're an advanced player. You've been playing this forever. Like
That's
specialization is like your thing. It's probably what, you know, you want to have one unit do precisely exactly what you want it to do, no more and no less. And you want it to do it reliably every time. So
exactly, yes.
but if you're a new player, you're like, I like plasma. You know?
Yeah, yes, I completely agree with what you're saying. I sometimes, especially as the night goes on, I tend to forget that not everyone thinks about the game the way I do, or that, you know, the people that I practice with do.
Yeah.
And you're right, 100%. Some people are just like, I like plasma or I like Melta, and I didn't even think that was a thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm saying like as a new player, right? Where you're like taking your first few sips out of the deep, deep well that is this game. And you're like, you know, you're like, I picked this army because I like the way it looks. I didn't realize it was literally the worst army in the game. You know, until I'd been playing for 3 months, kind of thing. You know?
That's the way I feel with NIDS, because that was literally so when I played first edition, I borrowed models from people that were playing. When second edition came out, I'm like, I'm playing Tyranids. I love this army. It is my favorite. I love aliens. I love the movies. I'm in. My second army was Deathwatch.
You know you weren't supposed to root for the Xenomorph, right?
My second army was Deathwatch. I'm not kidding here. My first army was NIDS. My second army was Deathwatch. I'm like, this is amazing. I love this anti-alien feel. It's like I'm playing the movie Aliens, Alien 2, the second one, with the Marines versus the bugs, and I loved it. And what was the name of that game? Space Hulk came out right around that time, and I loved that. That was literally what dove me into 40K more than any other game. And so it was all about the Tyranids versus the Marines, and that's pretty much my two largest armies. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I'm not supposed to root for the Xenos, but I'm on both sides of this one.
I'm just messing with you, man.
Uh,
SD is asking, is there no Las Fusel model for the Spectre skill team? I actually just pulled up. This has been talked about as well. I don't think there is Las Fusel listed as a weapon that can be swapped out. But I think that they just missed it. It's like how they also made a Strength 2 Flamer for Kill Team Cassius. Like, they just missed it. I wouldn't worry too much about it. It'll come back.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anyway. You're not running a Spectre skill team. If you're running the excuse me, if you're running the sniper guys, you're running them as they are, because their special ability is amazing.
Yeah, you're gonna run them as a normal Eliminator squad.
Yeah, the Eliminator special ability is insane. You literally are just gonna run Eliminators. So.
Yeah, so I want to pull that up real quick because it interests me. Eliminator squad right here. So, oh gosh. Reposition under covering fire is their ability. It says in your shooting phase after they have shot, if it contains an Eliminator sergeant with the instigator bolt carbine, they can make a normal move. So you can move, shoot, move. That's the same as it was in 9th, but then they have mark target. Each time this unit remains stationary until your next movement phase, range weapons equipped by models in this unit have the devastating wounds ability. And remember that their bolt sniper and the instigator bolt carbine are all precision.
Yep.
So you can snipe out leaders and get devastating wounds with it at the same time.
Exactly.
You are
never running a Spectrus team because you lose both of those rules.
Yeah, that's the problem with the Spectre skill team is, so in 9th, we lost some of the special stuff, like Reavers lost Terror Troops, but no one cared because nobody ran Reavers. But Eliminators still kept the Camo Cloak, Infiltrators still kept Omni Scramblers, and the Helix Gauntlet if you paid for it, blah, blah, blah. All of that is gone now, except for the Helix Gauntlet. If you take Infiltrators and a Spectre skill team in 10th edition, the only special rule you get now, or Infiltrators, is the Helix Gauntlet. That's it. You don't get the Omni Scramblers now. So
Aaron, 100%. Always run for the move, shoot, move.
Yeah, it's too good.
It's way too good. As far as I like games, we're gonna have to wait and see on that one. I'm not really sure you're gonna ever see something like that ever again.
Yeah, we don't know what the Codex design is gonna look like. None of us do. Very few people do, rather. No one in this stream, I'm sure, has any idea. So,
yes, there will probably be. When the commentary comes out, you will probably find a lot of the Devastating Wounds material is toned down. This is a guess on my part, partially because I do talk to a lot of people in the know, but partially also because Devastating Wounds are insanely overpowered. So yes, I do expect a 16th, right? June 16th?
yeah, that's
Yeah.
Friday. Yep.
Yeah, June 16th. The designer commentary comes out. I expect a June 16th FAQ for a lot of different things.
And it's true that Jason, what he's saying is like, we might discover that they don't nerf Hellfire rounds or Deathwatch pointedly. Like, they don't say Deathwatch bad. They'll be like, this interaction with Devastating Wounds was unintended. And, like Jason said, one of the things they could do is they could institute a cap, which is one unit firing at another unit can never have more than 6 mortal wounds or whatever they decide, generated by the Devastating Wounds ability. Like, that's probably more likely because it plugs all the gaps on all the armies at one time. Yep. It's a universal rule that everybody will understand and know. And it's not like, oh no, just Deathwatch has this. Like, just Deathwatch. That's...
No, it'll probably be everybody.
It'll be a targeted thing for all Devastating Wounds. So,
yep.
It'll still mean that Deathwatch is very good at dishing out Devastating Wounds, though.
Yes.
But it'll be...
But it may be...
Yeah, it won't be 50.
No, it may be
it'll
like
be
10
12.
or 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You want
and answer that one?
I think the Primarch thing is gonna be a no. The way that I read the Codex is that basically if you choose a chapter, you choose a chapter. So if you're playing Dark Angels, you get the Lion. If you're playing Ultramarines, you get G-Man. Basically, however, if you are not playing Deathwatch or Black Templars, you're playing Ultramarines because G-Man is amazing. The double Oath of the Moment every single turn is insane. The Lion's a beast, and Deathwatch, depending on the points, may be amazing.
Yeah. If we end up with a ton of point split because we're so good,
yeah,
we're gonna quickly find that we just get shot to shit by Eldari and lose. So,
well, oh crap, what are they called? Not Dark Angels? Yeah, Dark Angels. Dark Angels may also be good. They got some points issues as well. If they're amazing, they may be, if they're pointed too cheap. But Deathwatch, if Dark Angels are pointed too cheap, then Deathwatch is going to be just better.
Yeah, I know that they made that change. So back when there was only one Primarch you could add to any army, they didn't care very much because there were so many keyword locks. We're like, he buffed Imperium a little bit, but he buffed Ultramarines a lot. and he still wasn't even that good, really. But now that he's way better and the Lion is back, they got in front of the idea of like, let's just bring as many Primarchs as possible. And if they're talking about bringing back more Primarchs in the next few years, you know, the next few editions, they definitely didn't want like, you know, Khan and the Lion and G-Men and one army running around or whatever.
I tell you what, I've been calling this for a while. I think Sanguinius is the next one to come back.
I don't, honestly. I don't have a dog in this fight. I want it to be Russ, but it probably won't be. You're probably right. It'll probably be Sanguinius, and they'll change the story. I guess the new book is coming out, and we're gonna learn more about how he died, and I'm sure they'll do some traipsing over of his actual death so that there's a hope that he could come back later, just because he's a fan favorite. Everybody loves him. So
Well, and that's part of the thing is that I do get to sometimes read 40K books, and it's very infrequent. But the last one I did read talked about how they went to the Blood Angels' homeworld, which is just basically barren except for Sanguinius' tomb, which was empty, and there were a ton of dead Tyranids there. So
nice.
I hope that he came back and just butchered some Tyranids.
Dorn's dead, right?
Dorn is a piece of crap. God.
I like Dorn.
When I originally painted my Marines, I was Imperial Fists because I thought they were amazing. I loved their story. And then I read more about Dorn, and I'm like, I hate Dorn. But yeah, Dorn's still alive. He'll probably come back. It'll be awful.
But come on, Russ. But what about Russ?
Russ is, if I had to associate Russ is like your drunk friend that wanders off and comes back like 3 years later. That's who Russ is. Russ will eventually be back.
I don't think it's weird to have multiple Space Marine armies at all, man. Like, there's a lot of them are so different, they might as well be completely different armies. I don't know. I keep playing around with the idea of starting my own Raptors chapter. I play around with the idea of starting a NoobHammer chapter, where it's the same colors as my, so it's like blue and red and gold, or blue, red, and yellow. But I don't know. Like I already have Deathwatch. I'd be much more. I already have Votan. I already have, which aren't even half painted, and I already have Grey Knight. So I'm sitting pretty with those 3 armies right now.
Yeah, honestly, if you have Marine armies at all, what you want to do is just paint it however you want. My Marines are yellow and black. Even my Deathwatch is yellow and black. I just like the colors. I think it looks awesome. Again, I started out as an Imperial Fist guy, so that's where the yellow came from. But more than likely, you don't like something about every single chapter's story and history.
Mm-hmm.
If you go through and you read all the 40K lore or a bunch of it, you're going to find something about your chapter you don't like every single time, because there are no good guys in this entire game. Everybody's a bad.
Yep.
So you're going to find something you don't like. Either they're, twisted by the warp, or they're Marines that kill innocents. It doesn't matter. You're going to find somebody that you don't like, some story you don't like, something that didn't happen. So paint them whatever color you want. Do whatever you want. I mean, I think I even saw somebody posted a Rainbow Marines or something, or Smurf Marines. I don't like, as long as the stuff's painted and looks great, I don't care.
Yep.
Your
I
stuff's
agree.
great for me.
I agree.
Vulcan's another good call.
Yeah, that would be actually really cool. Yeah, we should bring back Vulcan. It'd be interesting to have him counterbalance the other 2.
Yeah.
All right, it has been almost 3 hours. I really have to use the bathroom. I'm gonna call this Thanks everybody. We had like over 15 viewers the entire time. We burst up to like 25 at one point, so this might have been one of my most successful streams ever. Thank you everybody for sticking around. Thanks for asking your questions. Thank you to Jason especially for what is it? Almost midnight there now?
Yeah, it's almost midnight.
Yeah. Thank you for sticking around and offering your high level opinion. It's always a pleasure, dude. I will probably be doing another one of these. Maybe not this week just because of my schedule, but I'll probably be doing another one of these for Grey Knights and all of their index stuff next week. So go ahead and tune in for that. And in the meantime, don't forget to call your mother.
And it depends on the points.